she had some accident when she was a kid, and she phases and she hurts and all that, and that's...
Welcome to SinCast, presented by CinemaSins.
This episode of SinCast is brought to you by Mubi, a curated online cinema streaming exceptional films from around the globe. Each day, Mubi introduces a new gem, and you have 1 month to watch it. From cult classics to acclaimed masterpieces, every film is hand-selected by experts. Try Mubi free for 30 days at mubi.com/cinemasins. That's mubi.com/cinemasins for your extended free trial.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from CinemaSins, joined as always by the voice of CinemaSins, Jeremy Scott.
Hello.
And for Music Video Sins, Barrett Sher.
Hey!
And today, we have our special guest in the room.
Yay!
From Sift Pop. And from CinemaSins.
Yeah,
That's right.
And from TV Sins.
That's right.
Aaron Dicer.
Yay!
Tidally ho, Cinerinos.
Welcome back.
I've just made peace that I am Flanders of CinemaSins.
Sure, yeah.
That is,
Yep.
I'm the Ned Flanders of CinemaSins.
That's right.
You should grow a mustache.
Yeah, that's all I need.
If you see a tremendously elaborate pun in one of the Sins videos, it's likely him. 99% chance that it is him.
Listen, you all of you have strong pun games.
Yeah.
I've written with all of you, and I've seen the puns. I think sometimes you write puns and think you can go, oh, we'll just say Aaron did that. You know, you want to,
We do have a scapegoat.
That's right.
That's true. I actually did a K-pop video, the Bubble Pop. I sent you the Bubble Pop video a long time ago. Hyuna, by the way, is how you pronounce her name.
Awesome.
And the song's called Bubble Pop, right? And it's said over and over, bubble, 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 pop, bubble, bubble. And I worked in a thing where it's like, she's putting up bubble propaganda everywhere. Because I wrote it Bubble Pop,
Yeah.
And then with Ariana Grande, she appears as a blonde in one of these, and I called her Ariana Blonde.
Nice.
Oh, my little boys are growing up. It's amazing.
I just gave away like 2 cents from upcoming videos.
Yes.
Whatever.
Today we're going to be continuing the series of Best of the Years that we've been alive, and we're going to be doing 2018.
What are you waiting for? I'm jumping out a window! Wakanda forever!
Gucci.
I'll do you one better. Who's Gamora? I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?
One more.
Again.
Yeah, baby.
Which was the year that just happened.
It was a long-ass year.
It was like 3 years worth of years.
I mean, you could have told me that Black Panther came out in 2016, and I probably believe
Oh, yeah,
it
for
feels
sure.
like it's been that long. It's
It
only
does
been a year.
It does feel like that long, actually.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, we can go right into it because the box office champs, it's basically a 1-2 Marvel punch. Black Panther domestically was the number 1 movie of the year. And meanwhile, the Avengers Infinity War took the world by storm and probably made over $2 billion. I think that's where it was, somewhere around there.
Now, listen, I think they're still counting some of those glass receipts, and it may challenge.
For what?
I'm just joking.
for 2019?
I mean, sorry, Aquaman receipts. Sorry. I don't know what that character is, but he's the receipt counting guy.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pocket him for later.
Aquaman made like half what those 2 movies.
And yet it's still a massive hit.
Yeah.
Yes, but those two, those are the clear crown jewels of the box office.
It's
Yes.
amazing to see Black Panther do this.
Yeah.
February movie, we talked about it before. It had everything against it. All black cast. Kind of an obscure superhero. February release. And that shit was still like in theaters when Infinity War came out. Like still making money.
Yeah.
Well, the
That
secret
was
is they
awesome.
made a good movie. I mean, that's
Exactly.
that'll do it a lot of times. I think we forget sometimes that, good movies actually do work at the box office.
They
a lot of
do. The
times.
problem is that they also sometimes fail.
True.
And then a shit movie will perform really good. So
Yeah.
we get a Transformers movie that makes $1 billion, and you get a Black Panther that makes $1 billion, and I can't say quality's going to win out every time, right?
By the way, not to derail this already, but
Let's do it.
Explain what you mean. I know what you mean, but explain what you mean by the all-black cast being something that was against it.
Oh, it'd never been done before, right? I mean, at least in a high-dollar superhero movie.
Yes.
So it was a new direction.
And unfortunately, worldwide, that also puts a dent in it because for whatever reason, I don't know if it's racism or what, but worldwide, like they have a hard time. They have a hard time selling movies that are like your average What Men Want or whatever, like those type of movies. They have a hard time selling those overseas, and I don't know if it's because everybody's lily white over there or what.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and I guess in Asia, there's a certain predilection towards either Asian cinema or white cinema.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that definitely could work against it, which is why I was saying I understand why you were asking that. To say that it is quote working against it because it had never been tried before. They bet so heavily on this black director too. And it just paid off, and it's so satisfying.
Well, the thing that Coogler does really well, and I think what you're talking about here is not even so much race as it is culture, right? Like Black Panther is very culturally African, and so it's outside of the norm culture that we live in modern, U.S. of A. So I think that can be a little bit of a hurdle, but it also can be a real pull to the movie. If you're somebody who wants to see a movie that's, engaged in a different way as you, I think this was, we'll get to some of the films, but this was a great year for African-American film in general. There's a lot of really solid stuff this year dealing with a lot of the stuff we're dealing with in our country. I think it's, kind of showing itself at the theater. So
that is absolutely correct. Yeah, I regularly talk to somebody on Facebook who's originally from Africa, and he was talking about how empowering this movie is. He says the accents are pretty ridiculous. Like most people from Africa are like, oh, okay.
They really lean into those sometimes. Yeah.
But I think that's one thing that people sort of forget when they talk about this movie is how empowering it is and everything, and from our sort of white existence and everything, we don't have that same sort of like knowledge
perspective, right?
Yeah.
Well, and the movies themes underscore that, right? Because in the movie itself, he's like, the whole ending, he's like, we need to give our technology, and he goes back to that site in Oakland. We're going to build a learning center here and whatnot. I feel like the movie's plot and the movie outside of that kind of worked in harmony in that way. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy.
No, I think so.
It absolutely did. Absolutely.
Sorry, I busted up your Black Panther party.
We can also discuss a little bit Avengers Infinity War. This movie is I still love it. But I understand where people have taken it to task and everything, and especially since I still don't understand that ending that everybody there were people crying in the theater. And I was like, come on, guys. You guys know this isn't permanent, right? How is this a thing?
Yep.
Well, let me defend it a little bit, because when you go to a movie, it's all fake, right? Like if you're crying at a movie, you're crying at something fake. Mm-hmm. So, and I get what you're saying.
I disagree. I disagree, actually. I don't want to fight with anyone today. I'm in an excellent mood. But I think if you cry at a movie, you're crying about something you're feeling from your own life. Not at the fake movie.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you can cry at the end of Infinity
War. But none
of
us have ever had all of our friends turn to dust.
But we've had loss. We understand when Spider-Man is going, don't let me go, or what do you? That's powerful stuff.
It wasn't for me. I am willing to allow that it was an emotional experience for others, but I don't understand that. And I think that's all Chris is saying.
Yeah,
sure.
When they're going to be brought back, and that they're going to be brought back,
that's the thing.
What's the point?
Had this ended, and when you remember back in the day, I said I thought they might do something. I hope they do. I'd love it if they did. It was the snap from the comics, but I thought they were going to kill Iron Man and Captain America and Black Widow and the classic cast. Mm-hmm. And then I would have left the theater legitimately wondering if they were ever going to come back.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Instead, they did the other
thing. Yeah.
And not only does it kind of hamper the end of this movie, it kind of tips your hand on Endgame. If Iron Man or Captain America doesn't die at the end of Endgame, I'll eat my hat.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I agree, and I'm wondering if that factors in because everybody is expecting that now. If that factors into the movie that they made, if they're going to subvert that in some way.
They did say, quite curiously, they did say in an interview the other day, if they'd had anything to do different, they wouldn't shoot the two films back to back, simultaneously. Which makes me wonder if story-wise,
if this informed
having
it too
some
much.
distance from Infinity War, they might have done something in Endgame differently. They did just do some reshoots, so who knows? But
I'm looking forward to it. That's one of my.
I am too.
That's one of my most anticipated.
I'm very curious. I think it's going to take some really cool high sci-fi concepts and roll it into a superhero movie. And I think most everybody who got dusted will come back, and most everybody who didn't will get dusted. And I'm okay with that. I think I could still be thrilled by that. I'm not going to cry when Tony Stark dies. I'll tell you that much.
No, me neither.
That guy's a bastard.
Yeah.
But Star-Lord is a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we can all agree on that.
Yeah. How many times in a Marvel movie this happens where they've got everything where they need it and someone gets angry out of their fucking mind angry. That Civil War battle at the end still pisses me off.
Yep.
Makes no sense to me on any level whatsoever.
I agree.
And this one where he's like, "Oh, you killed Gamora! Punch!" You know, I don't get that.
And the justification that it's within character is bullshit. Because
it's total
these people
bullshit.
Also understand that there's a time and a place, especially if Tony fucking Stark.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
That Doctor
Star-Lord.
Strange versus Thanos fight, though, is pretty fucking rad.
It is rad.
No, it is. That's my favorite part of the movie.
There's more rad than there is not rad in that movie.
Well, and I think that's what we have to remember too. Is every time I start thinking about the details of Infinity War, any Marvel movie, it's fine. You know, I love having these conversations about what works, what doesn't. Then you take a step back and you go, look at what they've done. Like, it's insane that this has worked even 5%, let alone as well as it has. I cannot believe what Infinity War and Endgame are going to bring to a conclusion. It's insane.
I agree. But I'm very nervous about this future. Now that we have the X-Men and the Fantastic Four.
Sure.
Because I am not one who believes I need to see every single Marvel hero in a movie together.
Especially what we got in Infinity War, because
again,
there were some characters that were crammed
and
in
there's
there.
a lot of awesome in Infinity War, but a lot of what doesn't work is directly a result of having too many characters in this movie.
Cue applause
and now
break.
we're about to throw in a bunch more. It just makes me really nervous.
Can they possibly make a battle where they don't all have to be in the same place at one time?
No kidding.
Like, if they really are needed, wouldn't it be like great if they would be around the globe rather than just like all in the same place? And let's find something else that they can do. Okay, Thor is using his hammer again. Well, good for him. And
well, that's what worked in the first Avengers, is that they were in the same place, but they were all doing separate things. They were all doing something that required their skill set, right? And Scarlet, cocking the gun.
Right.
Scarlet. I almost called her Scarlet Witch.
Well, I do too, because her name's Scarlett Johansson.
But yeah, see, that's what worked. And I agree. You could show simultaneous things and make it perfect.
Always been sort of my thing about Marvel movies with the Avengers movies is just it never seems like they use each individual skill set. Like, you know, they all are punching in some manner. That's why that Doctor Strange Thanos fight is so awesome. They're all doing that same. They're doing the same thing, but with the tools that they have.
Yeah, especially that fight with Thanos where he's opening portals and fucking Spider-Man's going like, web swing.
But yeah, if you'd get them separated around the world and sort of change up that, maybe that's coming. Who knows? Anyway, there are a lot of other superhero movies. Ant-Man and the Wasp was in the other one that came out from Marvel. I recently saw this. I thought it was pointless.
This is the most forgettable movie that I saw all of last year, and I'm very serious about that. Like, I can remember a few things, but like I don't really want to.
It's completely pointless. They set up a whole thing where Pym is going to go back and get his wife. Michelle Pfeiffer plays her. And that's the setup. They even go cold open on this movie where it's like, then the whole movie's about that then, right? They're going to go in there and get her. No. There's somebody who wants the technology that they're using. So there's Walton Goggins gets to be a bad guy again.
Sudden Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, Sudden Lawrence Fishburne, who instantly is a semi bad guy. Yep. There's this character called Ghost in there that could have been a lot cooler than she was.
Is it the Ghost from the Matrix? The Matrix sequels?
Almost.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of parallels.
Like she's phasing, quote unquote. Like she had some accident when she was a kid, and she phases and she hurts and all that, and that's all she says. She says, "Oh, it hurts. It hurts." And
you just summed up the entire movie.
Yeah, and so she needs the technology, and to like. They yada so much in this movie. It's a lot of times pseudoscience and Marvel. You're like, okay, I can get on with that. Mm-hmm. This one's like, we just got to go and get Michelle Pfeiffer and suck out her energy and put it into her.
Well, and even the shrinking stuff makes no scientific sense.
No.
The idea of shrinking a building and then carrying it on like a luggage rack or something.
Yeah.
It's like, did it not have a foundation?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
All that kind of stuff is silly. This is my kind of pointless fun, though.
Okay.
I 100% agree it's pointless. Mm-hmm. But when you've got Paul Rudd and you've got Luis Guzman doing their thing.
You mean Michael Pena?
I mean Michael Pena. Sorry, yeah.
He does play a Luis.
That's right. That's why I got confused.
Yeah.
When you've got those two doing their thing, like, I'm just having a good time. And
yeah.
I notice those things, and I'm just willing to forgive them in a lot of movies like this because I'm having fun. It's a fun one to watch with my boys too. You know, like we just have a good time watching.
My kid loved it too.
Yeah. So
there are moments though where they tear away from things just to do a joke, and I couldn't get on board with it. I know what you're saying because I was sitting there watching this, going, you know what, this is just kind of dumb. I'm whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
But just ultimately, I was like, man, there's nothing to this movie at all.
Nothing ultimately really happens.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll take this kind of dumb over Transformers dumb, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's my kind of dumb.
Well, they're not rounding out Marvel. There's more Marvel after this. Deadpool 2 came and went, and it was like, this is the biggest, weirdest anomaly to me. The first Deadpool was a huge hit. Everybody you know loves it. The second one comes out, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
It
Made
was
some money.
interesting.
It made money for sure. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't a bomb,
But I forgot it.
but it came and went, and
Yeah.
nobody cared.
Yeah.
And it did not have the same. It didn't even have an opening weekend reflective of a movie that did what Deadpool did, and it was like people had already gotten tired of Deadpool by the time the sequel came out, which was only 2 years.
Right.
So
It is the kind of, I remember after the first one, I think one of the two of you and I were talking saying, can you sustain a series of this? Or is this kind of the thing?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing.
It is. I really like this movie. And I laughed a lot during this movie. We got to see this movie with Leonard Maltin.
We did.
And that enhanced
So with
the
Leonard
experience. I literally was sitting right next to Leonard Maltin.
Oh,
when I
who's
saw
name
this.
dropping now, Barrett?
Oh my God. It was one of the cool, it was probably the most cool movie theater experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
But man, I laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
And then when we watched it again, when we send it, I'd laugh my ass off again.
Mm-hmm.
And, yes, you're right though. What happened with Once Upon a Deadpool? Did that do anything?
I don't think it did much.
Yeah.
I actually
Did you see it?
No, I didn't. That's the PG-13 one
Yeah.
where they made it like a
it's some charity thing. They I don't know what they
Is that what it was for?
Well, did
I think
like
it
a
was for
Princess
charity.
Bride take off, didn't they? Didn't they have like
Yeah, they had a Fred
Okay,
Savage vignette.
Yeah, but it like it's the same movie. It just doesn't have the swearing in it.
But that one also was forgotten like immediately after it came out.
Yeah, I actually bought that on Blu-ray. I know it's redundant, but I bought it anyway, just in case there was anything
Sure.
different about it. But yeah, Deadpool 2 was a weird moment. Like we're seeing that this year already with Lego Movie 2.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, it's a great comparison.
Where the first one made 69 million, went on to make this huge hit, and then the second one comes out. Have they already zapped all their goodwill with the Lego Batman and with the Lego Ninjago?
Yes.
I mean, I
think
feel
so.
like every review I've read of Lego Movie 2 says exactly that.
Yeah.
It's really hilarious. It's charming. It adds new wrinkles, but it still kind of feels a little stale.
Mm-hmm. And I loved it. And I agree with that.
Yeah. And then continuing down this road, we have Aquaman, which is another movie. This is a huge hit for DC and Warner Brothers. Not going to be as big as Wonder Woman, but still probably a breath of fresh air for them after those Batman v Superman and Justice League didn't do as much as they thought it would do. Aquaman may very well indeed have that. It's because it's not terrible. People are giving it more. They like it more.
It's not terrible, but it's not good.
No.
It's
you didn't like it?
I did not. I was very surprised by the reaction to Aquaman. It's probably similar to my reaction to Ant-Man, right? There's probably just a lot of people who that's their kind of dumb, but it was not my kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Like it was, I thought it was over the top in a very strange way. I wasn't buying into the sensibility of it. I thought the under the water stuff was ridiculous and made no sense to me. Not just on a physics level, just on a even like a story and plot level. Like some of the places they went and the things they did just didn't, I mean, they're in the desert the 1 second and then, they're in one place in the water and like what's the geography of this? I was just very put off by the whole thing. He's great. I like Jason Momoa. He's, wonderful. But
how did it look? Did it look cartoony like the previous entries?
Yeah, a little bit.
Sometimes. Yeah.
I mean, the underwater stuff, like I always harken back to the Star Wars prequels. That's what it reminded me.
Yeah,
of.
No, totally. Yeah, no, that's perfect.
There's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Aquaman, when I watch it again, and I your experience during the movie, I was out with family watching this movie, so I have a bit of a kind of like when you watch it with a kid or whatever.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. When I watch it by myself and I'm sending it, I may grow angry at it.
I think you might.
Yeah.
I think you might.
Yeah. We also have, there's two more Marvel. Venom came out in October. This was Sony's. We're in Sony's Marvel.
Yeah.
Venom is exactly the movie that I thought it was going to be.
Me too.
I liked Venom.
I did too. I don't like that I like it because there's so much awful about
I know.
it.
Well,
but I kind of liked it.
For instance, Michelle Williams, they should have never hired her for this role. I mean,
she's slumming, man.
I love Michelle Williams, but first off, they don't have any chemistry at the beginning. And even when he does the thing that he does and she walks out on him, it's like, oh, you could have done this a week ago and it would have been fine.
Yep.
He's still a dumbass. I don't understand. But yeah, it's exactly that type of 90s superhero type of movie that I remember.
Get a little Spawn vibe.
Yeah, got Spawn
Makes
vibe.
it more enjoyable.
Yeah, way more enjoyable, way funnier, and but this made gobs of money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I like the Tom Hardy Venom stuff. Like I like I call it friends with benefits. I like that whole part of the thing, right? Mm-hmm. I don't like any of the action in it. Mm-hmm. I think it's silly looking. It reminds me of Transformers in a lot of ways because it's just noise.
Yeah.
Especially that last fight is just punching and noise and same versus same. And,
well, that's the part that I hate about it. I knew it was immediately that this is what we were headed towards, was because they brought this alien down or brought these aliens down from wherever or whatever. And then it's like one of them latches on and then, it's going to, of course, latch on to Riz Ahmed. And he's going to be, it's going to be like, he's going to be a slightly stronger version of that.
Yep.
And they do this every time. That's the thing. This movie is exactly like 50 other Marvel movies. It's just something about Tom Hardy, man, and the way he carries it.
And it's not like he has a great performance or anything like that. His accent is all over the place.
Yeah.
Like he's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about it. It's
compelling.
I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
There's something compelling there.
And then we have this was not a huge movie, but it is a pretty big movie, and it was way bigger than I thought it was going to be. Was Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh God, I love this movie so
I
much.
do too, and the animation style I really liked it too. There were some parts in it that seemed weird and blurry and stuff like that, but.
Did they have to do that?
I don't
do you think that
so.
was a good artistic choice?
No, that's my only knock of this movie. I don't even mind it's not pixelation, but like the dots and all that stuff that make it look like a comic book. But I swear to God, I thought that the projector was out of focus.
Well, and I thought we had accidentally gone to a 3D movie and they hadn't given us the glasses.
Me too, because it has those little lines, those blue and red lines on the side. Having known what I now know, that's what they were going for, the next time I watch it, I'm probably going to love it even more. But that was distracting to me. But
I was more distracted the second time.
Oh, really?
I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I already knew, like, the stuff that excited me that I didn't know the first time. I knew what was coming, and so I was more distracted. I don't know what it was, but it actually distracted me more the second time I saw it.
Yeah, but the story, the characters,
so great.
Everything about this movie is.
I just read
great.
the other day that they have open sourced the software they used to animate that movie.
Oh, that's
basically
nice. That's cool.
Giving it away to the world for free online.
That's interesting.
That's awesome.
Sounds pretty awesome.
Well,
to me.
and it is a great animation style. After you're so tired of you were probably at this point tired of the way computer animation is done, where it seems like, even though it probably isn't, it seems like it takes them 2 weeks to make these movies.
Right, yeah.
Even though I'm sure every frame takes whatever it is, 147 man hours. But these, they have all the same look now. You can tell a Pixar from the rest of the group, and you can usually tell an Illumination from the group. But all this stuff that Sony and Paramount and all them come out, they're interchangeable to me. Seeing something like Into the Spider-Verse with a almost traditional 2D style, but with this kind of, I don't know what they call it.
I don't either.
But it's complete. I wish more companies would do this rather than trying to brand everything as this is our style, so this is how we do things and everything. Let's try to come up with some artistic choices with the animation, and that's what I love about that. Movie's funny and action-packed, and it's everything you'd want in a Spider-Man movie.
Characters are so great. The voices are fantastic. Soundtrack is amazing. I really loved it. Besides that blurry thing, I loved everything.
Do you like that Post Malone song?
The one on the soundtrack?
Yeah, the one that's called...
It's playing all over our house. My boys love it.
Yes. I'm trying to find the melody.
I love that song.
Yeah.
It's
I don't like him, but it works in that.
You'll be left
context.
in the dust,
yeah,
a sunflower.
Yeah.
You know what else I love? I love the world building in that movie. I love the idea of what it's actually doing with the property. The idea that anybody can be Spider-Man, or anyone can cook as Ratatouille, you might say, is not only a powerful message, it works really well for what they're doing there with the Spider-Man character, and it just opens that world up in such a crazy cool way. So I think that's
anyone
awesome.
can cook.
I like Nicolas Cage. He's so good at that.
Yeah, I know.
I thought my backstory was dark.
I'm going to skip out of box office for a bit and go down to some other categories. Let's go to the award season stuff. And I know there's a movie that two people in this room really want to gush about, and it's Roma.
Go ahead, Barrett. Oh, he wasn't talking about you. I made Frank from Twitter watch this movie. I basically e-bullied him.
That's always the way to get somebody to love a movie. Bully them into watching it.
Didn't work.
Didn't work.
I mean, it sounds like he's about where you guys are, that he saw a lot of good in there, just didn't connect to him personally.
I gotta know. There's some, I've got like a Horcrux out there, because there's a part of my soul that's missing.
Yeah.
That should love this movie.
The same way, man.
And I like it a lot. And I think it's gorgeous, and I think everything about it is pleasant, and the story is compelling.
No.
That's where I gotta stop myself.
That's the problem, right? It's if you don't care about the story, then everything works for you. If you care about story, then you're like, what do we have here?
Yeah.
You have a story about what it means to be a mom. You have a story about, what it means to care for other people. What does it mean to have somebody in your life who you aren't related to blood-wise, but might as well be your mom? That's what Alfonso was doing here, was paying homage to somebody in his life who was basically his mom, but did not give birth to him. And you see that through line there's, I've seen this movie several times, and you're right, I do want to gush about it, just because the more I watch it, the more I see that through line of her story and her journey and understanding what it means to give care, what it means to love these kids, and her own story about, her own idea of motherhood. And, there's obviously very powerful, hard scene to watch in the movie that very specifically deals with, what she's going through and trying to be a mom or not trying to be a mom. And she says something towards the end about dealing with the psychology of not wanting to be a mom in that moment, but then realizing, oh, I am a mom. It's she's giving birth to those kids at the end in the ocean. I know I'm spoiling a lot here, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's this beautiful thing he's doing with the symbolism of motherhood, which by the way, is in every one of his movies. Like Gravity is a movie about birth.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see how this plays on him. But not only that, like the other things I catch are just the foreshadowing, the incredible foreshadowing.
There is a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll catch more every time I watch it. And I don't know, it's one of those things I watched the first time. And in fact, I was right with you for the first 25 minutes of the movie. The first time I watched this, for the first 25 minutes or so, I was like, oh no. I was like, I don't think I'm going to enjoy this.
But then the guy did the nude scene and the whole like martial arts thing, and you were like, yes!
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, it's funny. I read about that scene a week or two ago. They shot that separately.
Yeah.
Because
she wasn't comfortable, right?
On the day of, Caron decided, I want you to do this naked. And the dude was like, okay. And then the girl was like, I'm not super comfortable with that. And so they shot it without her in the room and him naked. Then he put on underwear and they brought her in the room and shot her version of it.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about that filmmaker.
Very, very cool. Yeah.
This movie tells me there's always going to be turds to clean.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's always going to be, you can clean the turds.
Yeah.
It's going to be more turds. Everybody's got to clean turds. I'm intentionally trying to be not eloquent.
Bravo! Success.
As a way of saying what I think the reason I connect to this movie so much, and when we get into the voting, I've done something this year that I haven't ever done in terms of prioritizing my voting, and it's basically how much of my life has it impacted, changed, or affected? How much time have I spent thinking about it? How much have I tried to apply to my own life? And so for me, again, what I take away from this movie is that I am no more important than the person next door to me. And every victory that I celebrate is probably happening while they're having a tragedy. And my victories are no more important than their tragedies are sad, and vice versa. And that is life. And again, I come back to the ice cream scene where your dad's gone forever. I'm going to get you some ice cream. That'll make up for it. And in the background, everybody's celebrating a wedding, which again, I think is another interpretation theme on love. And anyway, but that encapsulates the whole movie. That is
their
the
lowest
movie.
part.
Lowest and highest,
yeah.
right next door to each other.
Yeah.
Right next to each other.
Life and death in this movie shares the screen. The idea that they're walking down the stairs to share a drink on New Year's, and there's a couple chickens copulating at the bottom of the stairs. That I don't think that was.
I missed the chicken fucking.
Yeah,
I think they were geese.
Well, they may have been geese. That's true.
You didn't see that,
Important
distinction.
I'm sorry, I haven't studied my foul fornication. But the idea I see in this movie is there's messiness all around, like real life all around us. The gross stuff, the stuff we don't like to talk about is in our lives at the same time as we're dealing with something else. You've got, there's this beautiful symmetry between the kid at the rich people's New Year's party has his astronaut out, like this big decked out in this astronaut outfit, and he's running through, some water there. And then in the next scene, it's in like the projects or whatever. And this kid's got like a cardboard box astronaut helmet, going over, the water, and just stuff like that, where it's like, man, all the detail in this movie. And you can just, I don't know, it feels like an artist made it,
It
and
does.
There's much less and less of that, it seems like.
I find myself looking differently at the world. I find myself celebrating my victories a little less. I find myself mourning my tragedies a little less. I think the movie has made me more empathetic. And I think that's magical that a 43-year-old cynical asshole like me can be impacted by a movie to try and want to be more understanding of his neighbors, or the guy who cuts me off in traffic, who pre-Roma I would have flipped off and forgotten about. And post-Roma, I'm like, you know what? My problems are no bigger than that guy's problems. Maybe he has a reason to cut me off. Maybe it wasn't his fault. I don't know.
Sure did have an
so
impact.
I have to give the movie credit for that.
Sure.
Because it is a direct result. Even my wife has said that my thinking has changed post-Roma, that people I would used to just dismiss. I don't know. I'm not trying to I think this is the movie, not me, is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to get credit for this, but the movie has really made me think a lot about how unimportant I am.
Wow.
So
I always come down to everything that you guys have said about this movie is valid to me. And it makes you appreciate the movie in a great way. I have started to wonder though if even these things that make us consider things about ourselves, or they're deep in some way that we can talk about this and everything. All those things are great. Does it make it a great movie though? And I'm having a hard time with that, even though I'm with Barrett. Like, I enjoyed watching it. Mm-hmm. It's just that I was like, all right, well, I can't see the greatness in this yet. There was a guy on Facebook who, after we talked about the nocturnal animals thing with the fat naked women at the beginning and everything, and he said that the director came out and said that he was trying to juxtapose that with the first shot of Amy Adams, who is supposed to be beautiful, but there's a supposedly ugly women who are very happy at the begging, and there's this beautiful woman who is not happy, and juxtaposing that. So then I wrote, but does that doesn't seem to have an impact? Like, it doesn't seem to have anything to do with the movie.
What does that mean?
Yeah, like so she's beautiful and she's unhappy. That's happens in a lot of movies. It happens a lot of times. Why do I need to see something before that sort of accentuates your main character? Mm-hmm. So while there's interesting things to the choices, does that make it a good choice? Does that make it a good movie? That's the level right now I'm on, where
and that's the beauty of subjectivity of art, right? Like, that is the beauty of what we love to do and talk about movies, is the fact that we can see the same thing and come out with different feelings about it. I think it's valid and great and wonderful.
It's like that Seinfeld where he records, he's doing the pirating, right, in the movie theater, and then Elaine records her dances at the end.
Yeah.
And he's explaining the movie. He's like, the director made some weird choices, including this crazy dancing lady at the end. So you cry, and then when you see the woman, you cry again.
You cry again.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But I will be watching Roma again at some point, and who knows, 5 years down the line, I might be going, I'm turned around.
Well, listen, this is what's funny about this, and what I think I love even more than how different our opinions can be about movies is how they can change. Because we sat in this room, all four of us, and voted for La La Land to be the best movie of 2015.
I know that was your and my first choice, and
which is what means would mean it won.
No, because I think you two vote? Oh yeah, I think you're right. I did. Yeah,
and I wouldn't vote for that. I wouldn't vote that way again today at all. I still love La La Land, but there's probably 3 or 4 movies from that year I would vote ahead of it.
Yeah,
2016.
2016.
Like Hell or High Water would go above that, and so even 2 years from now, I may not hold Roma in this place that I do, but I
don't know, man. That thing is plugged into you. I think it
really
that
is.
Stuff. It's hard to separate that, because that's happened to me in a few of those movies, and I can't really separate.
Yeah, it gets harder. Anyway,
then we'll continue talking about some award season stuff with Green Book, which I was so shocked that this was a Peter Farrelly movie,
right? Oh yeah, so is Spike Lee, by the way. Did you see it was like a Directors Guild, or it was an Oscar pre-show or something like that, where they had all the directors for Best Director up there, and anytime a question was asked to Peter Farrelly, Spike Lee just stared straight ahead, didn't acknowledge that he was in the room.
Yeah,
it might have had to do with the fact that he took his penis out all the time and wagged it at actresses.
Well, there's that, and I think there's some sort of racial issue that they have.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff with Green Book.
The family of the piano players are happy with how the movie came about. The movie's been dogged by plenty of controversy. Viggo Mortensen said the N-word at a panel talking about the movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, what he said was, nobody says N-word anymore.
Oh.
But he said it.
Yeah.
While saying that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I know.
Don't fucking do that.
I know.
God.
And somehow it feels like this movie's going to skate through, even despite all the controversies.
Yeah. Well, it's a crowd pleaser.
That's the thing. You said you liked it, right?
I like elements of it. I think overall, it's in many ways it reminds me of The Greatest Showman, in that I get why people lose their mind over it or have such a good time with it, but I just have issues with it under the movie that keep me from buying in. And so Green Book is much similar.
What are these issues that you're talking about?
Mainly the issues that you've already mentioned about the family and kind of there's a white savior aspect to the movie that plays it from his perspective instead of the piano player's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't give that man's perspective a lot of credence at the front of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Our central character and I would say protagonist hero, is the white guy who's trying to overcome his racism. You know? And it's just, I feel like maybe we're past that. Like maybe we need to be thinking deeper than that in the fact that there's, 3, 4, maybe 5 different movies that came out this year that deal with racism in a more honest and deep way than Green Book.
Mm-hmm.
Probably has a little bit to do with it too.
Yeah, I really liked it, but when you talk about it in those terms about how it is from sort of Vigo's perspective, that does change a lot of things, and it's again, it's you go in and you're not really thinking about that, even though you should. That it should be from Herschel Ali's perspective all the way through, because it is his story. It's not. It's not. We have to get over. White people have to get over racism. It's
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
It's what he has to deal with. Now you do see what he has to deal with all the way through it, and that all of that stuff is super ridiculous. I mean, especially the scene where he's going to play at a club and the restaurant won't let him eat there, which is that's just the most ridiculous thing of it all. And I do like that he ends up saying, "I'm not going to play here if you don't let me eat here," and so I did like that. But that is an interesting perspective, that it is really from Vigo's perspective all the way, even though they're supposedly the co-leads. It's really his movie.
It does kind of feel like one of those movies that if they hadn't adapted a real person's story and had instead fictionalized the story of a friendship, it might have played a little better. But part of the reason,
if it's the exact same movie, it still would have that issue.
Sure, yes, but I mean, I know at least half of the reason it's got some controversy is that it kind of played fast and loose with history. There's a scene in the whole movie, Deja Vu podcast, we already talked about this a little bit, but the whole fried chicken eating thing where the white guy teaches the black guy how good fried chicken is, and the family's pissed about that because they're like, he knew what fried chicken was. This was like manufactured to make one of these white savior ending racism kind of moments.
Yeah. So, but I get why. I mean, it's fun to watch. Like, it's humorous. There's some really great moments. The moment with picking up the litter on the road, I think is hilarious. There's moments like that where it's like, yeah, they knew what they were doing and making a movie. It's just, there's that stuff underneath that I go, I'm not 100% on board because of that.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about the other two that you were talking about. If Beale Street Could Talk, this is the movie, like, you guys are affected by Roma. If Beale Street Could Talk is the same for me.
Good. I'm excited to hear you talk about it.
If Beale Street Could Talk is now, this one I feel like has more story elements to it, and that's why I gravitate towards this more. But it's told in this sort of like, it's not in order all the way through, and all that. The score is freaking amazing in it. I was really glad to see that it got nominated. I'm a little disappointed to see it didn't get nominated across the board. But this movie is great. This movie is important, and this movie has it's one of those that I came out just kind of like shook by.
Is Barry Jenkins, is it?
Barry Jenkins, yeah. Now, he had done Moonlight before this, and I really liked Moonlight. I didn't think it was Best Picture or anything. I think this movie's better than Moonlight, but
I think this movie's better than Moonlight too.
Yeah. But it's just the way it goes about is it's devastating, because it's about a guy. It's a man and a woman who love each other. Like the trailer made it seem like the problem was going to be, oh, she's pregnant out of wedlock and the family doesn't like it, or something like that. And they don't really go into, and I'm guessing because they didn't want to incite maybe in the trailer, but he's wrongfully accused of killing somebody, and it's by a racist cop who needed somebody to pin this murder on, and it shows how they're affected by that and everything, and it a lot of, you're talking about the stuff that that relates to today. This was I think were written back in the 60s or whatever, and it was who's the guy's name?
The author who wrote the book.
The author who wrote the book.
Sure.
He was in
James Baldwin.
James Baldwin. This is the subject of "I Am Your Negro" was the documentary.
I'm not your Negro. Right?
I am not your Negro. Yes. He really sort of. I mean, a lot of the stuff that's in that is a lot of stuff that we're talking about now. You know, cops abusing their power. Black people getting accused of things or small things and getting larger sentences for it. A lot of this is in this movie and everything. And I just thought it was really well done. Really, really good movie.
I got to see this one. This one's way up on my list.
There's a fantastic episode of The West Wing where they break down why mandatory minimum sentencing laws on drug convictions are racist by their very nature. Freaking fascinating.
Interesting.
Because the mandatory sentences are stronger for drugs that are most used by African Americans. It's a systemic problem.
It
goes back hundreds of years. By the way, my brother and his wife just saw Hamilton this week, and he called me to tell me about it. And he said his wife said, "At this crazy time of political nuts, it's kind of nice to know from the very beginning these people were adulterous, murdering, like blackmailing assholes who all wanted power, like from the get."
Yeah. Anyway. It's not as fresh in my mind as it was, but there's one theme in there where you don't know someone's perspective, even though you think you may know somebody's perspective. Lil Rel Howery comes up in this movie as somebody who's been in jail, and this is before the main character has been sent to jail. And Lil Rel Howery is definitely changed by prison. He's like the stuff that they do to you every day in prison is ridiculous and everything. And the guy who hasn't been to prison's like, yeah, imagine that's pretty bad. And he's like, you don't really know until you're in there. You can't really imagine it. And yeah, you see his character, the guy who hasn't been to jail, when he goes, you can see how much he has changed. Movie sort of has a kind of, it could have gone one way and it could have gone too syrupy, and I think it went in the middle somewhere. I don't know if that's the best choice, but I mean, it's something where you didn't have to go out of the movie going, "Oh my God, that's so devastating," or whatever. But it's devastating enough without it going to a really dark place.
It does in some ways, and maybe this was just my experience with it, and maybe why it's not elevated next level for me. It's probably similar to the Roma thing with you, but in some ways it was a very sustained, meaningful story that I was glad I was invested in. But I didn't have that one moment where I was just devastated, or where I was, jubilation. You know what I mean? Like it didn't, it didn't feel like a roller coaster movie to me. It felt, like a journey, like a road trip, So, and for me, I think those things, fairly or not, stick out to me sometimes, where it's like, oh yeah, but that one moment, and so that might be why I need to watch it again and give its space one more time to kind of feel it a little bit more. But I loved it. I thought it was beautiful too. It's shot, incredibly well. So
nice.
And then another one, Black Klansman, which Barrett and I watched together and everything. This is dynamic, man. This is really, this is Spike Lee. We haven't seen Spike Lee like this in a long time.
Have we ever seen Spike Lee like this?
Probably not.
It's such a unique movie, and I feel like he's been making swings like Chirac and some of the other stuff he's done fairly recently, that he's making swings that are just maybe outside of his wheelhouse, or he's shooting for the moon and he's not getting there. This one, it seems like just everything clicks. He got the best performances out of his actors that he could probably get. His visual flares paid off, both in story and both in unusualness, because it's an otherwise reality based thing. But there's an ending shot that's on like a dolly type of thing, like a treadmill. And apparently John David Washington, every day would ask him, Spike, when are we going to do that dolly scene? Because apparently it looked really cool. The performance from the lady that's in Spider-Man Homecoming, I forget her name, Nia Long?
No.
Nia Peoples.
It's Laura Harrier.
Laura Harrier.
Yeah.
Man, just every part of this movie, and I've seen it again since, Adam Driver murders me with his performance.
Yeah.
Topher Grace, we all know what a toll that role took on him.
Yeah.
And he's spectacular. It's hard to say that he's spectacular because it's such a loathsome character.
Yeah.
But talk about crying in a movie and getting hit in the gut, man. The choice that he made at the end to link those two time points, it should be heavy-handed, should be overdone, but it's perfect.
You know, I'd like to take a moment and say we've had 3 actors come out this year and say that preparation for a role was so hard for them they had to go to therapy. Dakota Johnson in Suspiria.
Oh, yeah.
Him in this movie. And then just the other day, Michael B. Jordan said that about Killmonger.
Oh, really?
Because to get himself in place to play Killmonger, it was a darker place than he expected. And by the time he was done, he was messed up. And I think I would like to applaud that.
Yeah.
Because it destigmatizes therapy to say that. And it also points out that therapy, a lot of the reasons people are afraid of therapy is they think it's like a lifelong thing. It's I either am in therapy forever or I'm not. And that's not always the way it works. So anyways, I think that's good.
I like that.
Talking about
I like that.
John David Washington, right?
Yeah.
Denzel's kid.
He's Denzel's kid.
He's great in it too. I think this is a wonderfully acted movie. I applaud the choice at the end. It can feel a little didactic, it can feel a little in your face, but how about it's okay to be in your face? You know what I mean? Like it's okay.
Yep.
So I was most impressed by the magic trick in this movie of making it as almost pop movie making as it was at times, and fun and at the same time deep and meaningful and terrible, at times too. Like, I don't know. That's a difficult magic trick for a director to pull off, to be able to match those two tones. And I think Spike Lee did
Honestly,
it well.
I'm going to wait for it for a little bit to make sure that I'm not overreacting to it. But I think this is my favorite Spike Lee movie. I think the candidates, of course, would Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, Inside Man would be up there too.
I was gonna throw that in.
I would watch this movie over those in a heartbeat. Malcolm X is a great movie, but it's so long.
Yep.
It's so, I don't know. I would totally watch BlacKkKlansman over any of those movies.
Yeah.
Before we move on, can I throw in the other one? Just there's 3 real quick, just to mention them, that kind of finish off your racial quintilogy or whatever. Whatever it would be.
Paddington 2.
Right.
Yes, of course. Blind Spotting. I don't know if anybody else got a chance to see Blind Spotting.
Got it in there.
It is so good. It may be. I may like it more than BlacKkKlansman even for this kind. It is powerful. It's Daveed Diggs from Hamilton, who we were just talking about, and that whole kind of rap speak kind of thing is in this movie in a really powerful way that you think could never work, should never work, and yet completely works. I thought Blind Spotting was amazing. The Hate You Give.
Yeah, another one that I have in there.
is another one to watch. Very powerful. Even more specifically dealing with police brutality, those kind of things. I found that one absolutely phenomenal. And then if you want to go extreme, Bodied, the YouTube movie that came out, is a fascinating look at what race is today, and especially dealing with free speech. The idea, is there an avenue where you can say anything and explore anything, and is rap battles that avenue? And it is a comedy. It is a satire in many ways. But it's absolutely fascinating.
Do they have that on Blu-ray? Do they make Blu-rays?
I don't know if they do or not. I know for a second there it was free on YouTube.
But it's on YouTube?
It's
YouTube Red.
Yeah, paid YouTube.
Yeah, this was we had a
Shouldn't we get like honorary
That's my point.
accounts?
That's the only reason I haven't done it yet. What is it, $5?
Yeah.
Waive it.
Yeah.
How much money have you made off our videos?
I know, right?
I just want to watch Bodied and go on with my life.
right. We had the preview of like summer preview or whatever, and this was like towards the tail end,
Right.
and there was no trailer, or at least not a real trailer of it or whatever. So we didn't even know what that was, and didn't even see it come out, and I didn't know it was a YouTube Red thing. Let's go back to some box office champs here and just quickly touch on these. Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, a massive failure to me.
This movie sucks.
Yeah.
It's not a failure financially, but it's a failure as a piece of entertainment.
They're not trying. They're not even trying.
Hey, I'm a Jurassic World defender,
Yeah.
and I think Fallen Kingdom is awful.
Yeah.
So
I thought that when they were on the island, it would be mostly island stuff, and they would have to worry about the volcano and all that. But nope, they went the Lost World route and made the whole thing the Lost World.
Well, at least the Lost World had the decency to keep it to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Just for, like, you know,
I mean, is
a few
there
minutes.
any way the next movie is not? Oh, a bunch of dinosaurs got loose, and now we have to go hunt them all down all over the
No,
globe.
there has to be.
And I don't want to see that.
Yeah, it's like
It's not Jurassic Park.
yeah, it's like
It's Jurassic World.
it's like Aliens, but with dinosaurs.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's a world of Jurassics.
I don't want it. I don't want your dinosaurs.
Yeah. A movie that this is probably the only big hit that I didn't see. But this was just a surprising huge movie. Dr. Seuss Is the Grinch. Now, I know it's not surprising that a Grinch movie would do well. Like the Jim Carrey one did well. The old TV show or what one-off or whatever is still playing and everything. So it makes sense that I guess a prequel. Is this a prequel to?
I don't know. Did you see it?
Yeah, it's the Grinch story, you know,
Yeah.
except it's Benedict Cumberbatch. It's really there's not a lot to say about it. So
All right. Well,
I've heard. I've heard.
That
Sure was a movie.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it's like in Mr. Show where people are court mandated to watch Coupon the movie, and you see like the reviews from people walking out of the auditorium, and Jack Black's like, I saw Coupon, it was a movie. Oh, here's something good. Mission Impossible Fallout.
yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, no kidding.
Best picture, best director, best editing. Okay, maybe not all those things. I think McQuarrie should have been nominated for best director.
I
Yep.
agree.
I think
He was on my nomination ballot. I just want everybody to know on my Critics' Choice
I
ballot.
think, and I have never made a movie, as many on the internet have pointed out to me. But
What?
I have always believed that it is very similar to managing a supermarket, which I have done.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more like being the general manager of a project than it is, I think, like a strictly creative endeavor. Does that make sense?
Sure.
He's managing all the creatives. He's certainly making those decisions, but he's also managing the PAs. He's managing all the crew. You have to put your finger in all the dikes to make sure that this thing comes out the way you want. And this production was like 1.5 years, 2 years in the making.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it would be fun to make movies like this. I think it would be infuriating.
I guess so, but Christopher McQuarrie definitely loves doing
Well,
it.
and Tom Cruise and he have the same kind of mentality that the excellence is worth all the effort. That's why Tom Cruise jumped out of that plane 100 different times to get the shot right. Why he literally learned how to fly a helicopter.
It's the most ridiculous scene I've seen. Now, there's a problem with that. There's a big problem with that scene.
The helicopter scene or the jump?
The Halo jump.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. I have a lot of problems with this movie, like logical problems with this
Sure,
movie.
yeah, if you want to put the logic hat on.
But it pays off with so much awesomeness that, like, I'm going to forgive him.
That
ultimately.
whole foot chase where at first Walker doesn't know he's being chased and Hunt is trying to chase him, but he's had to go up the circular staircase and Benji can't tell why he's going in circles and he's saying, turn left and cross the street, but he's actually 5 stories up on the roof and he's like, I'm working on it. That whole fucking sequence where we follow him running along that thing. Oh my God. It's just, it's breathtaking.
It's ridiculous.
I've seen it like 4 times now and I'm no less, every time I want to jump out of my seat and go, yes!
What do you mean the Halo jump?
So the Halo jump is the one into Paris, right?
Yeah.
And so everything is gorgeous. You see it cuts to Tom Cruise, never takes the camera off him. The guy, we've all seen the behind the scenes stuff where the cameraman jumps out, can't even see the viewfinder. But Henry Cavill gets hit by fucking lightning. And he's perfectly fine. The only thing that happened was his oxygen blew off.
Yeah.
And so Tom Cruise can find him, and as long as he's got his oxygen back on, he's perfectly fine.
He's a trained assassin, Barrett.
He got hit with fucking lightning.
He can withstand lightning.
He's a trained assassin, but later on in the movie, 25 years his senior Alec Baldwin will go toe-to-toe with him for 30 seconds in a fight scene.
No kidding. For gets 5 punches in before
Well, not only that, fucking Pseudo Lark takes him out.
Yeah.
Like he's won that fight.
Mission Impossible
Against both of them.
Mission Impossible at this point is not, it's more than just a movie. I think it's more like how much Tom Cruise is actually going through, and it makes you wonder if it can take you out of the movie at times, because that's him doing all this stuff.
It does me.
It does you?
Yeah.
Because
I still love it.
When he broke his ankle or whatever, it took me out of the movie when that scene came up, because I was like, oh, when they were shooting, he actually, broke his ankle here or whatever.
But there's something about the helicopter scene where it has the opposite effect on me, where because I know he's doing that, and he literally could die filming this scene of the movie, he's operating the camera and flying the helicopter.
And acting.
And it actually makes the stakes higher for me.
Yeah, and I'm the same way as you are. Like, it doesn't take it out of me. It's just there is something else about watching these movies, especially you see him like hanging, even on a smaller television, like way, way smaller than a movie screen. There's something big about the way McQuarrie shoots it.
Oh, yeah.
Him hanging on that rope with that counterweight that's on the bottom or whatever, and you're just sitting there like, it's almost like watching a documentary, and you're watching an action movie.
That's exactly what it is, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. There's something elevated beyond your typical action film.
I feel like
I love it so much.
We're going to look back and say history failed us here, because this movie should have gotten us to start looking at directors of other films for Best Director, and it should have pushed the envelope all the way for stunts getting an Academy Award.
Yeah.
Because there's no higher profile guy doing stunts, risking his neck, than Tom fucking Cruise. I think you could have done something there. It didn't happen.
Well, the Academy, unfortunately, feels like the awards are the boring part.
Yeah, we got to cut more, not add some.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the awards are the part we watch for.
Yeah.
Lean into them, not away from them.
Yeah, I liked what you said on Twitter about, make it 5 hours, make it 11 hours.
Make it a Super Bowl, man.
Just want to see it.
That's the
3 p.m.
that's the thing that I've always said. I think people who are attracted to the Oscars don't care about the length. And I said this a few years ago. I was like, they were like, we're trying to make it shorter. We're trying to make it shorter. I was like, everybody who watches this doesn't care about the length. They just want to see stars, and they want to see people getting awards and all that. Yeah. 5 hours. I'm fine with that.
Absolutely.
Started at 5:00. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's on I know they try to get it in on Mondays and everything, but do it on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Is it Sunday?
No, it's Sundays. They do
Is it
it Sunday. Yeah,
it's
always
always
on a
going
Sunday.
into Mondays.
They changed it. They changed it at one time though.
It's possible.
It was on a Monday at one point, and then they moved it back to Sunday. But yeah, if it's on a Sunday, just I think the reason they moved it was because people were hungover on Monday or something. But I mean, it's like you're going to be the same way on Tuesday.
Well, also, who's really like hitting the bottle hard on Oscar night? Like regular office drones.
Well, everybody, I think.
I know the celebrities
there's
are
Oscar parties and all that.
That's what I said on
true.
Twitter.
Yeah,
You got to
that's
lean into the awards. And here's the thing: what if you eliminated the Best Picture in order, and you just announced the order? So whatever came in 9th, you honored it and said in 9th place this, and you did that throughout the ceremony. Lean into that kind of stuff. Tell us the results.
I would love that. Oh, it would be so great
Wouldn't
to
it
see
be
the
fun?
results. Yeah.
Oh, it'd be so much fun.
And you would definitely tune in for that. Like, all right, Bohemian Rhapsody, not Best Picture this year. It was 5th.
Yeah.
And then you move on and you're like, okay, well now it's down to these 4.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get Twitter just buzzing about
exactly. Yeah.
But they don't hire us to do that.
No, they don't.
Unfortunately,
They haven't called.
In fact, they have a restraining order against them.
Yeah, they do. Solo, a Star Wars story.
Boo.
Yeah.
Oh, I liked it. No.
Did you like this, Aaron?
Overall, no.
Yeah.
I think I'm on the no side overall. Listen, I think Alden Ehrenreich is a great Han Solo.
Okay.
I
Yes.
loved him.
I agree.
And so because of that, I can still watch it, even though overall I don't like it. I can still put it on and have a good time.
He's about the only thing that works in that movie for me. Like the Game of Thrones
Donald
girl,
Glover works too, right? Like,
But what's her name?
Emilia Clarke.
She feels so out of place.
She
here.
does. She does. But I love Paul Bettany. I think his character is good. The Chewie angle is there's some things that weren't perfect about it. There's a little too many double, triple, quadruple crosses at the end.
Well, and it's fan service, the movie, right? Like, I mean, it's...
Well, I don't think it's only that. I think there is too much of that. But I think the story is fine. I love Lando. I love Donald Glover's Lando. And the relationship he has with L7.
Yeah.
You just like robot fucking.
L373 or whatever. Oh, it works. Yeah, so I think it's fun. I think it's a delightful movie.
I haven't seen it since it came out. But I was lost during it. Just like not like it was confusing. It was just more like I'm not grabbing onto anything that this movie is selling me right now. Nothing seemed right. There were some things in it like Donald Glover in it and everything, but like, yeah, everything else was just like, I'm not buying this story. I don't get it. Doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. And then, of course it's a great question also as to whether this failed. It did okay box office wise, but did this not do as good box office wise because there was still backlash from the Rian Johnson Star Wars, or is it because people genuinely don't care about Han Solo as a movie subject?
Yeah, I mean, I think
did it just not look great?
It may be equal parts of both.
I think the movie also did itself no favors by firing its directors halfway through production.
No, I know.
There's a lot of stuff wrong with
directors, by the way, that have made Spider-Man into the Spider-Man.
Yeah, doing all right.
They're doing okay.
I feel like I feel like the general movie going public was aware that movie had behind the scenes issues, and that in general I think keeps a lot of people away.
Yeah. All right, it's time to talk about Mubi again.
Yeah, baby.
In the last week, I have not been able to see anything new Mubi, but I did see it. There was a little bunch of movies that I saw about a month or so ago, and one that is unfortunately not on there right now. But had Audrey Tautou in it called Priceless. And it is, it's so wonderful. I love Audrey Tautou so much. And in this one, she's playing a gold digger, and she's like real sexy in it. Like in Amelie, she's just cute.
Yes.
She's a cute pixie sprite. But like in this, she's got a little mean streak to her and everything. But she starts going out with this, like she's married and she meets this guy. Well, she's about to get married. She's about to get married to a guy who's like super rich, but then she runs into this guy in the bar, and she thinks that this guy is an actual like super like player because of the way he acts and everything, but he's actually just the bartender. And so she ends up sleeping with him, thinking, this is the next guy. I'm just going to be with this guy now. And he tries to play everything he can to try to keep her interested in everything, because he learns this pretty quick that she's a gold digger. So like the whole thing is about like him trying to keep up with her realizing he's not what he says he is, and then just a whole bunch of just like crazy madcap stuff happening all at once in the movie. I loved it.
This is a French movie.
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
It's a strong ass endorsement.
Yeah, right.
Let's watch it now.
Man, this is like the perfect time to sign up for Mubi, because they've got the Sundance takeover stuff to coincide with the Sundance Film Festival that had a lot of American titles, some of which you've heard of or from directors that you've heard of. They're also doing the Berlin Film Festival takeover. And this is stuff that I'm just not normally like exposed to. I'm weak on like world cinema that I don't see on Mubi. So I'm really, really happy to have this. And I saw a movie. It's ironically set in New York. It's called Return to Montauk.
Okay.
It's a 2017 movie directed by Volker Schnundorf.
Ah, yes.
Nobody's going to judge you there, but
except
no
Germans,
except God.
Yes.
And it stars Stellan Skarsgård, and I love Stellan Skarsgård. He's been really good in, a variety of movies that I've seen, Good Will Hunting, The Avengers, and all that stuff. He is outstanding in this movie. All of his dramatic talents are put on display in monologues, super tight shots, his interaction with a couple of women in particular, 3 women in particular, and It's a story that's very much a slice of life. It's about a famous author that comes back from Germany to New York and meets up with an old past love that he loved super hard, but very briefly. And it is just a delight. It is really, really moving. And there's a part in there where like you think maybe it might be fading, but then it just gains momentum. And it's fantastic. It just came out fairly recently. So if you sign up, you'll have multiple chances to see it.
So I'm taking this opportunity not to make a dirty joke.
Nice.
I'm growing.
There were plenty of opportunities in there, weren't there?
There
I
were.
heard several
He
opportunities.
said, what did he say? Really hard and very brief. That almost got me.
His interactions with 3 women, you know, there were a lot of opportunities there.
But now the joke's been made,
I'm proud
right?
of us. No. It's a little different. It's a little different. You're getting credit.
Pay
for
no
not-
attention to the man behind the curtain.
It's like I just want you to know that I didn't talk about that thing that you just said.
Stop revealing my tactics.
I was looking at movie because you had mentioned that we were going to be talking about it, and I was, looking through and like I haven't seen any of this stuff, which is exactly why you want Mubi, right? Like that's, I mean, I'm a film lover, and I'm looking through this stuff going, what a great idea to bring a movie each day into the service, and just kind of have them rotate through. You've got a brand new, beautiful piece of morsel of film for you every single day. And I got really excited about it. I had seen Winter's Bone, which I think was on there, which is actually filmed where I'm from.
Oh,
in
that's
the
right.
Ozarks.
Yeah.
So in Jennifer Lawrence's breakout, hit.
Is that her first movie or
It's certainly her breakout
It's
movie.
one of her first, but
She's
she
super
was
young,
not
right?
known when this came out. Yeah.
So, and Deborah Granick, I think, did Winter's Bone. I actually sat at the same table with her this year at the Critics' Choice Awards.
Nice.
She was there for Leave No Trace.
You're going to be dropping Critics' Choice Awards like nuggets every 30 seconds.
Listen, I ain't above name dropping.
That's right.
I was standing next to a urinal with Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So go to Mubi.com/CinemaSins, MUBI.com/CinemaSins. This is like one of the best deals that you can get out there. It's 30 days free. You're going to get so many movies. You're going to have access. You're going to have access to so many movies within that 30 days that you will not be able to give this thing up. It is so great. The interface is fantastic. It looks beautiful. Just do it. Just do it right now. Trust me. Trust us. We got 4 of us that all love movies, and we kind of know what we're talking about. Just give it a shot.
You can watch this on your phone. You watch it on your iPad. You can watch it, and there's some TVs like I've got that you can watch it on an app for your TV if they've signed up on that. So it's good.
Yeah,
Give us the URL again, Mubi.com/CinemaSins.
That's it. 30 days free.
Then we have these are big hits that are also Oscar nominees and contenders. A Star Is Born. A movie that I really like, but I think it's one of those where I'm tired of hearing about it.
I gotta be honest, I was kind of tired of hearing about it like before it came out.
Me too.
Yeah.
It was kind of predestined to be this awards darling, to the point where people are almost a little surprised it wasn't more of an awards darling.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he didn't win the Directors Guild Award.
Yes.
Like,
Well, he's not nominated for Best Director.
I'm okay with that.
I am too. I think that's fine.
Bradley.
I think it's a spectacular movie in a lot of ways. I think it peaks way too early. I think
It does.
that shallow scene is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
In
then
the
it's all down. It's
shallow,
all
low.
down here.
Well,
all
see,
downhill
and
from
if
there.
that song if I could have just had that song in the movie and it just stayed there and not and not have been like a regular airplay fucking thing, then I would have been okay with that song. But now if I will go back and watch this movie, that song is going to grate on me now.
Oh, that's too bad. 'Cause
totally.
that scene is
the
so
scene
good.
is great.
I've seen the scene. It's basically the music video. But man, I had the worst day like 2 days ago. I couldn't sleep all night. I had a Maroon 5 song stuck in my head, which is like hell.
Was that why you couldn't sleep?
It was circular. It was keeping me up, and I was ruminating on it. So I went to get coffee in the morning. Walked into the coffee shop. Fucking Shallow starts right up. Like the doom 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 doom.
And you were
I was
happy.
like, fuck!
Oh, no. Well, at least it wasn't that Maroon 5 song.
It was just as annoying.
Okay.
However, taking the movie without all of this, now the shallow has been whatever.
The Shallow stain.
The shallow stain. Even though you're right, Aaron, that's a great scene in the movie. It's probably the best scene of the movie. But the movie itself is really good, and you know, it tackles those demons that stars like Bradley Cooper's singer character go through. A lot of these guys go through.
And I don't think there's enough talk about how good he is in the movie.
Yeah.
Too. I really think he's good in that movie.
I haven't seen it. Sorry. But I've had at least 2 people tell me he's better as an actor in the movie than he was as a director for the movie.
That's possible. I hadn't thought to compare the two necessarily. They're very different, art forms, but he's definitely really great as an actor, I think.
Yeah, movie's really good. Lady Gaga is really good in it. But yeah, it's a good movie. Unfortunately, it's got that little bit of I'm kind of tired of hearing about it. But very good. Don't let that deter you if you haven't seen it. Another music themed big hit, Bohemian Rhapsody.
There's a movie I'm tired of hearing about.
Yeah.
Fuck this movie.
I'm so over it because we saw it, we reviewed it, and we were all pretty middling on it. I'd like to go back now and give it a worse grade.
Me too.
I haven't seen it again.
Me too.
I just would go back and give it a worse grade. That's how tired I am of hearing
Good
about
God,
it.
everybody outside of this room that I've run into loves this movie.
Yep.
I don't understand it.
Loves it. And I think it's because of the Queen songs, man.
If it wins Best Picture,
Which
I'm done.
It will not. But
I don't think it will either, but nobody thought Moonlight would upset La La Land.
I've seen a lot of people put it as the worst movie ever nominated for Best Picture.
It's got to be up there.
This is just a bad movie in a lot of ways. I mean, it's just bad movie.
Thank
making.
you.
Ayo. Ayo.
I mean, and you're right. It plays fast and loose with the actual history of a lot of the stuff that happened. I think you're right in that people hear Queen songs and amazing sound systems and are like, let me live here.
Yeah.
Because they're amazing.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot in my heart for it because one of my friends actually does the vocals. He can sound, he's Mark Martell. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his stuff, but he actually sings for the Queen Experience. They picked him to be kind of he is Freddie Mercury incarnate with his voice. Like
sort of a Rami Malek fill-in.
He did all the vocal. He did the vocals in.
Well, what I read was that they blended him and Freddie's original vocal track and Rami Malek.
Yeah, depending on the moment and what they could do with it. So there is that where I'm rooting him on, and it's exciting to see him, in a movie that's getting this attention. I just wish it was a better movie.
It's like whenever I want a movie Jeremy Sinzer did the storyboards for to be good.
Yeah.
And then there's Wolves.
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, I everybody I've run into loves this movie, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. It's just not. I didn't like it at all. I like the Queen songs. Freddie
Mercury has no agency in this movie. He is not his own person. Everything he does in this movie is because someone manipulates him to do it. And when he is going down the path of drugs and sex and all that stuff, it's because, he was tricked by his manager. Give him some agency to choose a dark path. It's just so frustrating to me to see a human being be put on the screen as just a piece of paper, especially one like that.
I do like the off-screen story that he and the girl that played his love interest are together now in real life.
Oh yeah.
I like when that happens.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know why.
All right, and we're rounding out the big blockbusters here. Ralph Breaks the Internet, a movie that I did not like at all. I don't know. It could be just I was in a bad mood that day. But I just didn't like it.
It's got problems.
Yeah.
It's got problems. It's another one I enjoyed watching, but it's definitely got problems.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody just flat out rave without misgivings. So
there's some really great stuff. I mean, that princess stuff is great.
Yeah.
The song she sings, I think is great. So there are moments where I get excited to go back and watch it, but overall there's just that last, Million Ralph March or whatever you want to, that's just weird. It's distracting and gross and strange and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking with that.
I don't know. I'll have to watch it again at some point, but it just I didn't respond to it. The first one I loved, and then this one was just kind of, like I said, it felt like the third movie more than it felt like the second movie, just because of the decisions that the characters have to make in this and everything. They're already putting their friendship on the line forever in this second installment. I don't know. I didn't really respond to it. Then this is a great one. A Quiet Place came out earlier in the year. Came out in April. Quiet Place is a good movie on its own, but I really, really appreciate a movie that makes the audience active members.
Sure.
And our activity in this movie is staying quiet. And it's a great. I mean, we've seen this before in scenes like Mission Impossible's, scene where Cruise has to go down and hack the CIA computer and all that. People go stone quiet during those scenes, but the fact is that it got people for an hour and a half to shut the fuck up is a big, huge win in my book. Quiet Place is one of the best movies of the year.
It really is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an effective horror movie. It's got a great kind of gimmick to it, but it's not solely because of the gimmick. Great performances. Krasinski directs it really, really well.
I read
Still get annoyed about the waterfall thing, but fuck it.
I read that the first 4 times through editing the movie, they did it silently, and I can't decide if I think that's cool or pretentious.
It can be both. Both things can be true.
That's true.
Yeah. Maybe it's both.
Maybe it's both.
Both is happening at the same time.
You have a destiny and you don't. You died on a Tuesday.
What'd you think of A Quiet Place, Aaron?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best movies of the year. It's a movie that owns you, right? Like, that's always a fun experience when the movie just grabs you by your lapels and doesn't let go for 90 minutes. And
You don't have lapels.
Well, it's a figure of
Grabs
speech,
you by
Barrett.
your hoodie.
They grab you by your earbuds.
Yeah.
That's right.
On to some more awards stuff. The Favorite, another great movie that came out this year.
This is Yorgos Lanthimos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hate Yorgos Lanthimos movies until this one.
Oh, really?
I shouldn't say The Lobster. I was like, okay, I didn't hate it.
Dug that movie so
I love
much.
that movie.
Killing of a Sacred Deer, loathe that movie.
Yeah, but still haven't seen that.
Oh, it was just, it was one of those movie experiences where, like, halfway through you're like, you don't have to watch it all the way. Like, you're a human being with free will, but you feel like, in my case, I owe it to people who want to know my opinion on it, that I have to sit through it or whatever. And it just became an active hate session for the last. So I did not go into this looking forward to it. I just say that. And I think it's just because we're on a different wavelength. He's on a definitely different.
He's in his own world. I just connect with it.
Yeah.
And even though I don't connect with that wavelength, I think what he's doing here is at least accessible enough that you can buy into the characters in the story and the craziness and have an interesting journey with it. So I enjoyed The Favorite.
This is just pitch perfect casting, man.
Yes.
It is.
Emma Stone is perfect for that. Rachel Weisz is perfect for that. And Olivia Colman, who I'm glad is getting some recognition now, is perfect in her
That's
role.
who I voted for Best Actress was Olivia Colman. I think she's phenomenal in this.
I'm down with that.
She does everything in this movie. I mean, she's got perfect comic timing when she's like, I like it when she sticks her tongue inside of me.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just like, it waylaid our audience. We're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's awesome. And, but she's got the gravitas too. She's got she's got to do some physical acting in this, because she's either the same age or like younger than Rachel Weisz.
Yeah. She's younger than Rachel Weisz.
She really ages herself up and then accentuates the physical disabilities. Her story is tragic, but she plays it off almost comedically. The choices that Lanthimos makes in this movie to make it slightly anachronistic, but not totally.
Yeah.
I think this is a great movie. I think this is a legitimately great movie.
It really is.
It's pretty anachronistic. Like, I mean, it's not. The movie is. I mean, they're doing dance moves from the
That's what I was
21st
talking
century. No, I know. I don't know. You tempered it like it didn't quite become. I think it's pretty anachronistic.
I think that's the only part, though.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not like somebody whips out a Game
Cell
Boy.
phone. I like the gesture you made for
You know
whips
what
out
it
a
is?
Game
You know
Boy.
what it is? Here's why I felt like I had to say that, because you're right. There aren't any like more physical representations of that, but the verbal like the script and dialogue in this movie is very modern. You know, they may throw a little syntax on it, but the things they're saying and the way they're saying them, you know, are very modern, which is fine. It didn't bother me. I'm just
nothing may ever bother me in a movie as much as A Knight's Tale when the crowd starts singing "We Will Rock."
It doesn't get that bad. It doesn't.
No,
get
it
that
definitely
bad.
doesn't get that bad.
This is the first time. I mean, I like Nicholas Hoult in general. And he's great in Mad Max. You know, he has his little moments in there. But this is the first time I've really felt like I really like Nicholas Hoult. He's really good in this.
He digs
so funny,
into this
man.
fucking character.
Yeah.
Even Mr. Swift.
Mr. Swift.
Allen. Joe Allen. Mr.
Poor bastard.
Oh, I mean, is she still with him? You would know this.
They are together. They were just photographed holding hands a couple days ago.
God bless him. God bless him. Good for those
more
kids.
Power to him.
Yeah.
I like that she's finally having a relationship that we're not talking about.
Yeah, just seems like a normal dude.
I think she's doing things to keep it that way.
He got a hand job from Emma Stone in this movie.
He did.
In this movie?
A very
Yes.
disinterested one.
Yeah.
You know,
she's
I think this movie is marketed very poorly because my wife really wants to see it. And I think she would hate it from what you guys are saying. I think she thinks it's like a Victorian,
Oh, yeah.
like royalty drama.
Just play along, Jeremy. Just play along.
It is a lot of different movies rolled into one.
I'm telling you, I've heard enough from what the three of you have said to know at least two scenes are going to really upset my wife. I don't think I can. That might be part of it.
Well, wait till we tell you about the bunnies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Love the favorite. Then we have Vice, which we just recently mini-potted.
Bigger boo than Solo.
Jeremy Barrett hated it. I really liked it. I think you liked it.
I do. I really like Vice. I think I great.
All right, you guys want to talk about
Rachel
it?
Weisz?
Yeah, it was Rachel Weisz. And speaking of Vice, Rachel Vice.
I listened to all the SinCasts. One of my favorite podcasts.
Aww.
So I listened to the mini pod on Vice, and it was one of those where I just kept yelling at my phone because I had things I wanted to say. So now look at me. I'm here. I get to say them. I think I do not agree that this movie is any more ridiculous than Big Short. I think they do the exact same thing. I think it's McKay's style. I think he's kind of a Wikipedia director where it's almost like he wants to give you all the information you need to understand what he's trying to say. And so he does wild, satirical, strange things, you know, the Shakespearean scene or the credit, you know,
which is the one scene I did not like.
The mid-credit scene, the menu scene of torture choices, you know, these kind of weird big choices.
But I did like the other two things that you just mentioned.
No, those were fine.
And
it's not satirical, I don't think, though, to have a literal lure cutting back and forth when he's having that conversation with W, though, you know?
Well, you and I talked about this before we even did that podcast.
Yeah.
You just think he's doing it on purpose and intentionally, and I just hate it whether he did it on purpose or on accident. Because it feels like, I mean, again, whatever his intention were, it feels like he thinks I'm dumb.
Yep.
He feels like he thinks I can't make the connection without him selling it to me. And what's frustrating is that this movie is not made for people who love Cheney.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to come in here and go, well, you've really changed my mind by showing me how he was fishing that scene with George Bush. You really got me. I never knew that before. You're already preaching to the choir with this movie. So some of the underlining seems unnecessary.
Except for the choir hated this movie.
Well,
Except for the people who hate Cheney hated this portrayal of him because they thought it made him look too nice.
Did they really?
Oh, yes.
What?
There are plenty of those articles about, especially the soft side towards his family.
I just saw
and
an
the
article
stuff-
the other day that said Lin-Manuel Miranda is throwing away a shot because he hasn't done anything since Hamilton. This is an article in the National, and I'm
Are you
dead
serious?
serious. Oh, it made me livid because
What the
Miranda
fuck?
put out a kid's book or a book called Good Night, Good Morning or something like that. The guy tears into that for how simplistic the rhymes are. Basically, he's wasting his genius, and he owes it to us to do more stuff. It's one of the worst articles I've ever read.
Even
in
though
my
he
life.
did Moana, he just did something
It's
recently.
one of the worst articles I've ever read
Oh
in my
my God.
life. It's
And
a
he's-
fucking idiot.
And he's going to be guest starring on Brooklyn
That's
Nine-Nine.
right, he is.
So I totally against that.
Mary
fucking
Poppins Returns he just did? God
Well,
damn it.
And he's going to create the first Latin American Disney princess. He's doing stuff. But even if he hadn't, He created Hamilton.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was
Just
4 years ago.
coast on that.
He can sit for a while. Sorry, I totally hijacked everything.
No, you're absolutely. I think this is an interesting movie in the way the responses happen to it. Does seem to come from both sides hating. I mean, there are very few people who like this movie. And I just happen to be one of them because I found it fascinating. I found the way it looked into that time of the world. I found it, even at parts educating. I think one of you said, you didn't learn anything you didn't know from that movie. And I'm thinking, man, I remember, going through that and thinking, I didn't realize how deeply whatever that clause they talk about in that movie.
The executive clause?
Yeah, the executive, that like how transformative that stuff became through all politics, not just Republican politics,
the
but through all
problem is
politics.
when the movie starts out saying, I hate this motherfucker and this is a hit piece, then how much can I trust the history he shows me about how it all went down behind the scenes?
Well,
I didn't know. I'm not being you. I'm not doing Aaron voice, but I didn't know about the conversations in the Situation Room the day of 9/11. I didn't know that before I saw this movie, but I don't know if it went down that way.
Right.
That's so Aaron, by the way.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? The movie starts out saying, I'm biased as hell.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And then tries to show me facts. And it's troubling because I can't, that's why I compared it to Michael Moore.
Yeah. And most of them are factually correct, but it's, how do I know?
But how do I know? The conversation about how he decided to be Republican or Democrat, that's so colloquial in the movie. I don't know if that's real or not.
Right.
It just feels like the movie wants to make him pick it for a silly reason and not for any conviction.
Well, and in fairness, the movie also wants license to do that without it being either like it states up front, hey, listen, he didn't write this stuff down. Like, we don't know what the actual stuff is, so we're doing our best to guess.
Well,
but we're also spinning a narrative,
it's kind
too.
of, the movie, this is why the movie frustrated me, because that very title card said, we tried our fucking best. It's basically like, we didn't try. Yep. We didn't try at all.
Well, and then
we made up half this
and
shit.
Then the very end, like the very final scene after the outtakes, which I don't know, did everybody stick around till the outtakes?
I don't think I did.
Is a focus group where they're focus testing the movie, supposedly. And Adam McKay is one of the members of this focus group, and they're basically railing on him for, being biased and, this was just a hit piece, that kind of stuff. And so it's fascinating that he wants to even play with the meta nature of that at the end. And I listen, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just find it fascinating. I find it fun to watch and interesting.
Yeah, well, you're talking to somebody who's watched Office Christmas Party 15 times. Like, I'm not ever going to judge you for liking a movie I didn't like. It is fascinating to me when we get passionate about our likes and dislikes. Because that's when it's hardest to understand, right? Like you have trouble understanding my Roma opinion, and I have trouble understanding your Vice opinion, because they're both more impassioned opinions than I would expect, because usually we agree. It's weird. Movies are weird.
Well,
movies are weird.
And I think part of it also has to do with that performance. I love Christian Bale's performance in this. I think it's transformative in a way that we only see, rarely in a generation. And yeah, I thought it was phenomenal.
Is he going to win, or is Rami going to win?
I sure hope he wins.
Yeah.
Over Rami.
It's going to be one of those two, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Then we have First Man, Damien Chazelle's look at Neil Armstrong and First Men on the Moon and all that, and they didn't plant that fucking flag, man. God, I can't like a movie if they don't plant the American flag.
Yeah.
Has there ever been more of a dog call than that whole controversy?
I had a commenter on SoundCloud say that he disagreed. He didn't like the movie. He realizes how technically proficient it is, but he was saying that he or she actually was saying that it's almost like they lucked into it in the moon landing. And I think the exact opposite. I think they show how much skill and precision were required to pull off this ridiculous.
Same here.
And it's done in such a realistic way.
Just
too.
because something happens to make the trip hard and that, that it almost didn't happen doesn't mean that they were everybody's going to be super lucky in a situation like that, right? If they get there. But it's because of their skill that they are able to survive and they're able to make the trip in the first place and all that. So I don't get that either.
Yeah. Good movie.
This is, I truly believe there were two masterpieces made this year. And I think First Man is, other than Roma, the other one.
Nice.
I think this movie is, insanely well done. And I've looked at a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and I'm so impressed by Chazelle, so impressed by, his ability to go from these, different movies and do different things. From the beginning, it's another one of those grab you kind of movies with that, bouncing off the atmosphere scene.
Yep.
It's so intense.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people didn't enjoy the close-ups and the shakiness and that kind of stuff. I think it's all perfect for what he's trying to do here. And the fact that he uses the same shooting in the space stuff as he does in real life stuff is fascinating to me. The idea that he's telling a story about how real life trauma is the real version of, the glory of man that can get to the moon. We all go through that. Every day we have our own real life traumas that is the glory of man trying to figure out how to get through and navigate. And there's just a lot of beautiful stuff here, and I really love it. And I think Gosling's performance is so nuanced and subtle and beautiful. And
came out and was forgotten immediately, and I don't really understand why, because I feel pretty much the way you do about it. But I even forgot about it because so many people had just left it in the dust. And when it came Oscar time and it got snubbed for a bunch of stuff, I was like, oh yeah, First Man. I remember really liking that
It's the polar
movie.
opposite of A Star Is Born. People are talking way too much about that movie, and nobody's talking about First Man.
And it's related because Star Is Born came out the next week.
Oh.
First Man came out, and then Star Is Born was 7 days later.
And Ryan Gosling's second cousin was the bassist for Jackson Maine's band.
Moving on. Another First Reformed. This movie, I saw this about a month ago.
What'd you think?
I liked it, but I'm not on the it's great board.
Yeah.
I'm not on that.
Yeah, I got you. It's a great performance.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it earlier when I talked about it. It's a movie that's done by two different people. Paul Schrader is making a technically proficient, what is it called? His neorealism or something like that. There's a term for what he's doing. And Ethan Hawke, which is not really connected to an emotional performance, but Ethan Hawke is making a very emotional performance. And so I really like that, but I don't like the stylistic stuff that Schrader did.
Oh, interesting. I thought some of that stuff was really beautiful.
Some of the stuff is really beautiful, but then it's so much of a copy of what's been done before that he's acknowledged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That it loses its soul for me.
Yeah.
The only soul is delivered by the characters themselves, and especially Ethan Hawke.
My experience with First Reformed, watching it, as with many movies that I watch, I knew nothing about it, had seen nothing. It was a very fresh experience for me, and I was just it pushes a lot of my faith buttons, my faith background and the idea of dealing with doubt and faith and what that looks like in your life. And so there's a lot of that, and I'm engaged in his story and his doubt and what he believes, and dealing with environmentalism in this movie is, kind of what he's trying to wrestle with and figure out.
Sometimes I push a lot of your faith buttons.
That is true. You do. You're welcome to anytime. And then I get to the end, and I'm like, oh, it's this kind of movie too?
Yeah.
And then I'm going, okay, now let me rethink what I've seen here. And, I just, it was one of those movies that just stayed with me. I don't know if it's as great as some of the other movies we've talked about, but it's definitely has as much of an impact as a lot of those movies we've talked for me.
Yeah. It sounds like,
did you have the same?
It sounds like I'm in between because I like the story of it. I like I just like the idea that at first he's not quite sure that this is all a sham, like somebody giving you money for your church and all that. And then him realizing, oh shit, this is way, way bigger than I thought it was. This guy is only giving me money so that he can look like he's doing something good in his life.
That diner scene has stayed with me.
Yeah.
Where he's trying to figure it out, and that his performance in that moment is some of the best acting I've seen that last year.
Yeah. And then it has that sort of whirlwind ending there where they're having that big church reopen or whatever they're doing, church restoration pageant, whatever they're doing. At the end, and
it's the 250th anniversary or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And he's debating whether or not to commit an ultimate sin to cover up or to kill somebody who's really really doing like he's sort of made a decision of what sins worse there, but Amanda Seyfried's really good in it too.
She's very good.
She was actually pregnant during the movie.
Was she really?
Yeah.
She's got a sneaky good career going.
She does.
Right now. Like, she's done, I mean, we mentioned Jennifer's Body. That's an interesting, you have Mean Girls. You have that Chloe movie that came out that I thought was very good.
Yeah.
And she's terrific in this.
Yeah.
Of course, she's getting overshadowed by the Ethan Hawke love, but she's toe for toe for Grace. Toe for toe.
Yeah.
Toe to toe with her.
Then we have 8th Grade, another great movie that came out. God.
Are we talking about more movies this year, or were there just that many worth talking about this year?
I think 2018 has overall one of the most the biggest breadth of great movies that you can find.
It just feels like there's more than there should be.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are all like really good. Like it's unbelievable.
This is what won the Directors Guild over Bradley Cooper, right? Was Bo Burnham? Didn't he win?
I didn't pay attention.
Really? Oh, I did see that it won something.
I think he won new director.
Yeah,
I think
Best New
Directors
Director.
Guild does a new director award, and I think he won that one.
Then who won the main one?
It wasn't Cuarón? I think it was Cuarón. I think it was Alfonso Cuarón.
Okay, maybe. I'm sorry.
This movie's badass.
Badass.
Yeah, her Elsie
Fisher.
Fisher is so freaking amazing in this movie.
Do you have a daughter, Barrett?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
I don't either. And I wonder if that would impact after watching this movie, I'm so glad I don't have a daughter.
Yeah, fuck that, man.
Right?
Yeah.
It is, and the stuff between her and her dad, I found beautiful and devastating.
Yeah, man.
And I just, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
8th Grade is a great movie.
Movie's amazing.
Yeah, really, really good. And there are moments where it could take choices where it could make choices where it goes down a really dark road. And I'm glad it doesn't because I don't know what it was, but I was expecting the dark moment, and it didn't get there.
It's interesting because you're talking about in the back seat.
The dude that takes her home,
because it is almost cliche at first.
Yeah,
but the way that it unfolds is, I think a great choice. I think it avoids certain pratfalls, and I think,
but it still gets there without going there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the little restraint that Burnham has shown that's pretty good.
It's maybe because I've seen so many things go down this road, and it's like I know it becomes a completely different movie if they cross the line, but and so it would behoove him not to do it, but it's easy to still make that go across the line, have her be upset about it, and then just be just an everyday thing that happens, and and
her reaction is perfect,
right? Yeah,
and you don't have to have that baggage.
But I'm glad it didn't go that far, and it's some really good choices that he made in there, and her performance, like you said, when she's doing the YouTube stuff, and it's all that nervous, yeah,
it's a realistic. I mean, her videos have 5 or 6 views. It's kind of
and mostly her dad,
right? Yeah, yeah. I thought it was really good.
Gucci.
The last one in the award season thing is Can You Ever Forgive Me, which I have not seen.
Has anybody seen it?
Is this the Melissa McCarthy?
Melissa
one?
McCarthy.
No, but I want
Richard
to really
E.
bad.
Grant. It's I really thought it was good. It was a surprise for me. I wasn't expecting it. Anything from it. And it's just, I think what it is it's based on a true story. And so I'm always a sucker for those, to know that something similar to this at least happened in the real world. And it's just one of those things where a person falls into something they're amazing at, but the thing they're amazing at just happens to be very illegal. And so it's just, there's just a real fascination and compelling nature to watching the moral struggle of that. Like, I can't pursue this thing that I rock, even though I'm so good at it, because, it's wrong.
Yeah.
The thing I excel at is wrong.
Hey, that's like us.
Yeah.
So there's kind of that fascinating element of it, and Melissa McCarthy is great, and yeah, it's worth a watch.
So guys, I may have to start running these down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, may have to give some short shrift to some of these. We'll go
fine.
through some documentaries. Won't You Be My Neighbor was really good.
Yep.
Running on HBO now. You can catch it if you have HBO.
Although not nominated for an Oscar somehow.
For some reason,
It's weird.
everybody was like uniformly beloved.
Yeah, it's delightful.
And he didn't get a nomination.
Yeah.
Minding the Gap. I haven't seen that.
Skateboard movie. I think it's on Hulu if you want to check it out. It is phenomenal because the director of it just started videotaping his friends when they were skateboarders, and then it transformed into this movie about domestic abuse and different things, and it's really powerful.
Speaking of which, that reminds me, mid-90s came out, and that was Jonah Hill doing this. I didn't really like this movie that much.
No, mid-90s. I thought it was a mess.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was because I was really psyched for it or what, but it ended up not appealing to me.
I'm hoping that now that my expectations are lowered, because this movie was made for me. Now that they're lowered, I wonder if I'll enjoy this a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because like you, I was super psyched.
I forgot about Incredibles 2. Incredibles 2 came out a great follow-up to the first Incredibles. Would we say this is an equal to it, or?
I've kind of wavered on it. When I came out, I did. I thought it was just as good as the first. Then there was, for a while, I was like, well, no, I think the first is better. And I think ultimately that's where I land. But it's a really good follow-up.
Yeah,
it's very, very good.
Yeah. The sequel thing is, does it really have to be better than the original? It doesn't. It has to be at least something that's around the original, I think. And this was.
I tell you what, Elastigirl, man.
I know, right? If she was a real thing.
She's thick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe my Baby Got Back outtake got cut from that Sins video.
I can't.
Probably because it was music.
Yeah, I can't use it. Yeah.
Documentaries. Some more documentaries. Free Solo. Holy shit, Free Solo.
I can't wait to see
I'm
this.
scared
so
now.
good.
God.
I saw a review the other day that said, it's great, but I wish you'd have told me this because my anxiety, somebody had an anxiety attack watching this movie.
Okay.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yes. If you believe that by watching this guy climb this mountain is going to give you anxiety, then you probably don't want to watch it. Because
he falls at the end,
this
right?
is, oh my God. Spoiler alert.
It's like the end of MacGruber. He falls, then somebody shoots him with a machine gun, then they pee on him.
Yeah. This is really more about MacGruber than it is about 2018. Free Solo is a huge recommend. I loved Free Solo.
Yeah,
Holy
I gotta watch
crap.
that.
They just released it in IMAX a couple weeks ago. I didn't get a chance to see it, but man.
I was surprised that it wasn't originally.
Yeah, me too, actually, because you saw it at the Belcourt on a fairly small screen.
Yeah.
What I'd be interested in is if you watch this on your VR headset.
Oh, yeah. Holy shit.
Because that sounds like it would be pretty fucking immersive.
You know what's great about Free Solo, though, is that I don't know anything about mountain climbing. But in some way, he tells you exactly what you need to know about this climb. It's hard for you to understand what he has to do, but they go through it pretty meticulously. And he practices it a bunch and everything. And but man, I love Free Solo.
Yeah,
great movie.
Yeah,
another documentary, 3 Identical Strangers. Another great one. I know Jeremy's
It's been
seen
like
this.
30 minutes since I've seen a movie we're talking about. I can weigh in. It's great. It's dark. It's fucked up. I feel sorry for these guys and all the other anonymous people who don't even know they were part of the same fucking conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's dark.
Yeah.
You seen it?
Yeah.
It's dark. You could be one of them.
It's fucked up.
I could be one of them.
It's super dark though and fucked up.
It's dark and fucked up. It's dark and full of terrors.
Yes.
In another one that wasn't somehow nominated for.
Yeah, I expected both that one and the
Won't
You Be My Neighbor to be on that list.
Some more action movies. Den of Thieves. I never saw this.
Which one? Surprisingly good.
I've
Did
heard
any
that.
of you see it?
I've heard that.
Den of Thieves.
It's a Gerard Butler thing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. It has no
Den
right.
of Thieves. Oh, no. Okay, it's surprisingly good.
Yes.
Because it's a direct-to-DVD type of Heat ripoff,
Well, yeah, exactly.
and it's not good.
It's surprisingly entertaining. Yes.
Watchable.
Yes.
So it's Gerard Butler. It's the guy from season 2 of The Wire, Nick. The actor's name is hard to say, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's in this. 50 Cent is in this. And it's basically like a wannabe Heat in the desert. These guys are going to rob the fucking Federal Reserve, and Gerard Butler and his Rob De Niro wannabe team of... Am I right?
Yeah, no,
Pablo
you got the
Schreiber?
movie. You got the
and
movie.
they're making another one.
You talking about Pablo?
Yes.
Yeah, Pablo. He's also in Orange is the New Black.
And the American Gods on Starz.
Pablo Schreiber is his name.
He's great. I think he's really engaging. I watched this entire movie, and it was a full record warrant. I just have never gotten to it on the podcast yet. Because when I looked it up to learn more about it, I was like, they're making another one? Like, I never even heard of this movie. And it's recent. And it clearly cost like $50 million to make. I don't even know how you make money on that.
I don't know.
Did it have a theatrical release?
It did. Yeah.
But I
It came out like January, right?
Yeah, it was
But
an
nobody
early.
saw it, right?
I was there.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about it.
I'm fascinated how this movie is going to get a sequel. It's not that good. It's not that good. It's watchable. It's watchable.
Sure. Yeah, it's record warrant.
We have a Tomb Raider reboot with Alicia Vikander was not very good at all. Oh my God, I didn't like this at all.
No, it's terrible.
Pacific Rim Uprising, a sequel that, if you're not going to have, look, I didn't like the first one really.
I didn't either.
But if you're not going to do it with Guillermo del Toro, then what's the point to me?
Well, they probably got exactly what they wanted out of that. Because
Yeah.
you can look on the screen when you watch this movie and see all the places they cut spending.
Yeah.
From the first movie to
Very
this one.
much so.
And then I think there were enough lingering fans. They probably got enough on that box office run to make, because that budget had to be like
No, that was bare bones.
$500K or something.
Like
man.
half of that went to Charlie Day.
Steve McQueen's Widows, that was a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, really liked Widows. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, there's some great directorial choices in that movie. I love some of the ways there's a conversation that happens in a car, and he shoots the entire conversation outside of the car as it's moving. And
Oh yeah.
it's fascinating to me because you're going, okay, why do you make that choice, right? It's a bold choice. And then you start to put it together. It's about how they're coming from messed up inner city, poverty, and they're driving 2 blocks to his mansion. And so you get to see the visual transformation and how close in proximity rich lives to poor. And, he's making these really interesting choices all throughout that movie. Great performances, down the line. So it's definitely worth a watch.
Ready Player One, which was a huge disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think even if I had not read the book, I would have been disappointed, but just because it's Spielberg and I'm no different from everybody else who thinks highly of Spielberg.
Talk about a forgettable movie.
Yeah. And I just I didn't like any bit of it.
Nope.
I mean, it was
I liked the H character.
I think you just wrote a song.
I want to buy a hamburger.
It would come to me. The woman that's in Master of None.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Let's get the name.
It probably starts with a Q.
It's Lena Waithe.
Lena Waithe. You had the first letter right.
She's awesome. But
Yeah.
she's awesome in everything.
Yeah. Rampage. I didn't see this. How about it, guys?
You are so lucky.
This movie hard, man.
I would watch. You liked it a little.
I did like it a little.
And I'm about to say something that will make no sense to you because you like this other one too. I would watch Skyscraper 5 times in a row before I ever watch Rampage again. And Skyscraper is one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen.
Skyscraper is one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen, and I just love watching it. Like, it's really interesting to me. Rampage is kind of the same way with me, and every Dwayne The Rock Johnson movie apparently, because I was going to mention what's the
San Andreas?
San Andreas is the same way with me. I know it's an absolutely stupid film, but there's something just about the rockness of it. I don't know.
The rockitude is the word you're looking for.
One of the most fun experiences I've ever had writing Sins was writing Skyscraper, because it is a movie that has a high sin per second ratio, right?
Yes, it does.
And to watch this movie that I had a great time at and go, this is the most ridiculous thing maybe ever put on film was a really fun experience, because it's kind of that cognitive dissonance of, how can I love something that's so awful?
Yeah.
Obviously, we just talked about Skyscraper. Now, Upgrade.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
Have you gotten there
I
yet?
have not.
This movie is not good, but it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
if you watch the first half hour, it's basically In Time with Justin Timberlake. A really good high concept sci-fi movie set in a near future that's just not very good. Production values aren't quite up there. She's driving like the smart car that looks like
like a souped up
it's from
Camry.
Pacific Rim 2. I mean, it looks a little cardboardy. But once if you stay with it that far, and he starts, because I'll give you the premise. It's this guy. He works on cars. He's working on one for this eccentric computer guy. He goes out there with his wife, gets shot. His wife dies, and he's severed spine. So now he can't walk. Computer guy he made the car for has a special chip. Can put it in your brain, and it can take control of your limbs. It'll allow you to walk again.
Yeah.
All right. He's like, all right, that sounds pretty good. Actually takes a little convincing. Then he does it. And then he begins to investigate his wife's death. And from there on out, the movie is cocaine on acid. And I fucking love it. I have watched, from that point on, I actually started skipping the first half hour. That first fight scene where he's investigating in an apartment, and the guy comes in and sees him in the reflection, and he first just starts like not dying, trying not to die, and then eventually says, Stem, I need you to take control here. And then the chip takes control of his body. And holy shit balls. It's that scene you've seen where he pushes himself off the floor from a prone position on his back to standing. The action and the choreography of the action, it just makes me scream with adrenaline. I am on my feet going, yes! And giggling. And I've seen it 5 or 6 times now. Later on, he goes to this club in his wheelchair. And he's like, hey, I know some of y'all know this other guy that I just killed. Go ahead and tell me who you are. I'll take care of you too. And one guy starts laughing, and he's just sitting in his wheelchair, taunting the guy. Guy rolls him in the bathroom to beat his ass. Nope. He says, Stem, you take control. And then he starts beating ass. He starts beating so much ass, even Stem the chip is concerned. Don't get overconfident. Don't get overconfident, Greg. And it sounds like Spock from the J.J. Abrams movies doing the voice of Stem, but it's not, because I Googled it. It's not Zachary Quinto. It sounds exactly like him. I cannot recommend enough
the second half
just
of
just the way the action is staged. He's sort of an accidentally type of everything that he does, and
he reacts to it in real time.
Yeah.
So sometimes something his body has just done will make him wince in pain, or make him like, look out, or don't do that, or oh no, he's coming to don't kill him, because he says the first guy, he's like, take him out, and Stem immediately puts a knife in the dude's mouth and cuts his head off from the mouth. Just so fucking awesome. I want you to see this movie so bad.
It's funny, like Upgrade and Venom have a lot in common,
right? It's the same idea. Yeah.
And Logan Marshall Green is Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Sicario Day of the Soldado. I didn't see this. I saw the first one. First one was good.
This movie's preposterous.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the movie that Trump basically referred to in the border wall,
yes.
right?
Yes,
because
exactly.
we saw the prayer blankets and stuff.
Josh Brolin is really good in this, just like he was really good in everything for the last 15 years. But it's stupid.
It's stupid.
It's stupid.
The Meg. I had fun with the Meg.
Agreed.
Yeah, I ended up. I was on the Sins video for this. I ended up sending it, but it was just one of those where it's like, it's a stupid shark movie. I'm down with that. It's better than Deep Blue Sea.
There you go.
The Predator. There's some moments there's some very Shane Black moments in there, and you're like, oh, you could have done this whole movie this way.
Yeah.
But another one where it feels like studio interference.
Yeah, you got bodied.
Yeah. And then Bumblebee, which I liked better than I thought I would.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's got that same syndrome as it's the first Transformers movie since the very first one that's okay, so it ends up feeling really good.
Yeah.
But it's probably just kind of okay.
And she's really good. Haley Steinfeld is really good.
She's a star. She's going to be a star. She can sing, but she was great from True Grit on, and then Edge of 17 just sealed it.
Yep.
She's set for the next 20 years.
And she loves herself.
Well, at least in some ways.
Yeah.
She don't need nobody else.
That's right.
I saw
That was my Haley Steinfeld furiously masturbating thing.
You're a bad person.
Some comedies. I know that we've talked about Game Night a ton.
Yeah, baby.
We've recommended that one. Very well shot. Very fun game movie.
Yep.
A Futile and Stupid Gesture.
Did the rest of you see that?
Really
I
enjoyed
did.
that.
I love this
It's
movie.
great, isn't it?
Loved it.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I'm kind of surprised on the IMDb. It's got a 6.8.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think
That's
it's
high, but it's not as high as I thought it would
Yeah,
be.
it's shot in an unusual way. It's presented in an unusual way. But I love the humor. I
Me
adore
too.
the
I
humor.
love it. The David Wayne stuff is great,
Yes, yes. And I just love the interactions. Donald Gleason is fucking great in this
Yeah.
movie. And Will Forte, I don't like a lot of the stuff that Will Forte does. He just, his thing grates on my nerves a little
Really?
bit. But he's great in this.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is
I
just
had
great.
seen some sort of documentary before this, like maybe 2 or 3 years before this came out. So I knew the story of the main writer guy
Mhm.
and how like his death was so mysterious too, because he walked out onto like a mountain
Mm-hmm.
ledge or something, and all they found were his shoes.
Yeah, and his glasses, right?
And his
Yeah, yeah.
glasses and whatever. But I can't remember what that documentary was called. But I would recommend that one as well if you're really into the the inner workings of National Lampoons and how that all started.
And by the way, sneaky great performance is Joel McHale as Chevy Chase.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
He is dynamite.
Well, and that's what's really fun about the movie too, is these are people we know
Yeah.
from fairly recent history who are being played by people who we know from now. it's
Well,
kinda
and Joel
interesting.
McHale would have had an inside track there with.
That's what really tipped me off. I was like, is he gonna? And he nails it
Awesome.
through these bumbling things that Chevy apparently used to do.
Then there's Blockers, which was
Yeah.
Yeah, move
and
on.
then there's Tag, which is
It's with lots and lots of laughs.
Well,
I'm like
yeah.
Hannibal Buress in that wedding reception scene where they
It's
ask
like
him
somebody-
how many glasses of wine he's had. He just giggles.
How many? Like, I had somebody ask me where it would rank compared to Game Night, and I feel like Game Night is excellent filmmaking.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
Tag is not excellent filmmaking. It's just still really funny to me.
yeah. Well, and like you were talking about that one scene with Jeremy Renner and saying he approaches me in a pussy-like fashion and all that's really funny. And Hannibal Buress, I think this is the funniest he's ever been in a movie before.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've said before, I wish it was more ridiculous than it was.
Why would you play a game where you're repeatedly being punched in the asshole?
Not in the asshole.
Yeah, those are the rules.
I didn't see Love, Simon. Did you see it?
I did. There's no reason to spend a ton of time on it. It was really likable, though. I think you'd enjoy it. What's interesting is it got a lot of, I think, press for being about this homosexual teenager who's trying to figure out what it means to be a teenager and gay and romance. And what's interesting about the movie is it doesn't rely on that like a lot of movies do. It doesn't make that the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a part of the character, and so I think it feels very authentic and real.
Nice.
Because of that.
The Death of Stalin, which Jeremy has talked talked a bunch about. I saw recently, probably.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it really did.
Oh, it's so funny.
Armando and Iannucci can really do no wrong in my eyes, and he's one of those very just consistent comedy writers, and everything he does has bite to it. And so stuff like this, In the Loop and Veep, they're all worth watching.
The other day in the car, my wife was trying to make a point, but she was losing her words, and she was like, there was stuff in the, and she just kind of trailed off, and I said, Stalin destroyed the status quo, and he rebuilt it. And she looked at me and she said, what? And I said, it's this thing from this movie that they say a whole bunch, acting like they think it's really profound, when really, I don't think it means anything at all.
Yeah. But yeah, we highly recommend that movie. Some horror movies. Hereditary was great.
This is a good year for horror.
Yeah.
Good year for heady horror.
Yeah, Hereditary was great, and Toni Collette. Now she did get snubbed. She was
Correct.
very snubbed on this.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best performances of the year, and you didn't get recognized for it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, but Hereditary's got a lot going on in the background. I'm a little bit more sold on the ending than I was, but I'm still not like completely sold on that ending. Annihilation. I know that at least you love it too.
I love Annihilation.
Yeah, I did
think
not
it's
love
so
it. I
great.
liked it, but
I've gone back to watch this movie several times, more times than I thought I was going to. And there are some times that I skip to the end.
This movie plays like music to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
That's
but when I put it on, it's like I'm putting on music, not like I'm putting on a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I said that, because it's really not. It doesn't make any damn sense.
By the way, the movie, the Stellan Skarsgård movie that I was talking about with the movie thing, it's scored by Max Richter.
Oh, really?
On the Nature of Daylight.
Yeah,
huh.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Very good score.
But I don't think we're steering you wrong there. I think most people in this room would say big recommend. I was kind of like, yeah, I like it. Not all the way.
I will say that bear skeleton attack scene is probably the most terrifying thing I've seen in a movie in 10 years.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It's intense.
Revenge. I never saw this. I remember we previewed it, though, in a summer thing, and I called it I Spit on Your Grave, too.
Oh, there you go.
However, I have gotten a bunch of people tell me that it's great.
I am always not the person to talk about horror movies because I just don't like them in general, right? Like you're talking about Hereditary, not a great experience for me. But I can see how a horror fan would love this movie. It's very interesting, and it's very interestingly shot, but it's a straight gore revenge tale.
Yeah.
So
a movie that got a lot of I guess cult following play was Mandy, which I did not like at all.
I didn't like Mandy at all.
Nicolas Cage.
Oh, Mandy.
Interestingly shot. Didn't like it. Halloween, the sort of reboot-quel.
Man, 2 months before this movie came out, this movie was going to be the movie to end all movies. And then it came out, and now no one ever talks about it.
It was a dry fart.
Nobody ever talks about this movie.
And it made a lot of money. It made over $100 million. So I don't know if it's just because it's just a horror movie and people don't like talking about horror movies after it's, come and gone or whatever, but I didn't like this either.
Who was it? It's Brian Austin Green. David Gordon.
David Gordon. There are a lot of Greens. No, it's seriously, and they're all three names. There's Logan Marshall Green. There's Brian Austin Green. There's David Gordon Green. Yes, David Gordon Green did this and wrote this with Danny McBride.
Yeah. So much potential there.
Yeah, and I love the ending of this movie. I didn't like everything else. Overlord, didn't see this.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard awesome things
I
about
would
this.
say if you're going crazy over Upgrade, Overlord might be your jam. Like, Overlord is that kind of kinetic, crazy, can't believe this is happening kind of movie.
It's J.J. Abrams produced, right?
You might be right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because originally it was going to be in the Cloverfield
That's
universe.
what I thought, yeah.
Originally it was going to be in the Cloverfield universe. Again, I don't like horror movies, but I liked this. It's body horror. It's the idea of, dismembered bodies and, there's a little kind of a zombie element to it.
Sexy.
But I think this might be.
I do like
right
dismembered
Well,
bodies.
I will have to watch this. Then there's the.
Go on, that's fair.
This is the remake of Suspiria, which both Barrett and I super loved.
Have you seen it again?
I haven't seen it since.
I
I've just ordered it, I think.
I can't wait to see this again.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. What say you, Aaron?
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little too grotesque
Yeah,
for me.
it's a crazy movie. Then there's Bird Box, which is all the fucking rage.
I don't know, man. We put out that Sins video, and I feel like the reaction from our fans, at least, has been universal. Thank you. This movie sucked.
Oh, okay.
Like, I have seen plenty of people loving it in general, but the video itself, at least our fans seem to not like that movie very much.
Did
Yeah.
you see that somebody compared Sandra Bullock to Michael Jackson?
No, how?
She looks like, and now I can't unsee it. It's not right.
Some family movies. Paddington 2, heard that was good.
Oh, it's great.
You know, Paddington 2 is in my top 5 of the year.
Really?
It
I
gotta see this.
watched it on a lark because you had raved about
Yeah,
it, you
it's great.
son of a bitch. And I loved it so much, I went and bought the first one and watched it, and it's great, but not as good as the second one. And then I just made my wife watch both of them. Hugh Grant is probably the main reason why the second one is better than the first one, because he's just delightful.
I like the first one.
I love
Brendan Gleeson's great.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson is a mean jail cook.
I will
love
have to
this
see
movie.
both of these because I've heard both of them are good.
They are.
Mary Poppins Returns. I didn't see that. How about that?
How about it? I could give a rat's.
Me too.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
All right.
Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Didn't see that.
He said
It's
good.
great.
Is it great?
Yes, it is.
I want to see this.
Oh, if
I like the show.
It is meta. It is funny. It has some of the darkest humor I've ever seen in a kids movie. I'm not going to spoil the jokes for you, but they are phenomenal.
Nice.
It is a great funny movie.
I've heard that.
And it came and went. Nobody cared.
Nobody cared.
Isle of Dogs. I really liked it. How about you?
Loved it.
Okay, and you haven't
Still haven't
seen
gotten there.
Yeah,
Like I said,
I've seen it, but still haven't gotten
I
there.
started it, wasn't connecting, have yet to go back.
It's hard to get into.
Yeah.
At the first,
I'm gonna give it
because
another chance.
It's hard because you don't know quite what's going on with the style. They're speaking Japanese, and they're like, they're not real. I don't think they translate right off the bat.
I don't know.
And they do eventually, where it becomes that like John McTiernan thing, where it's like it changes it to English. But I really love that movie. Early Man, never saw that cartoon.
Yeah, it's Aardman.
Aardman.
It's decent. Maybe worth a watch, especially if you got a family.
I Can Only Imagine, which is the about the making of that song.
It's one of the only faith-based films that I don't mind recommending to people who
making
aren't
another
Christians. I think it's a really genuinely interesting story.
Right.
So it's something interesting that you might enjoy.
Peter Rabbit. Donald Gleason's in this too. He was in like 5 million movies.
Did we like this movie?
No.
Did you do the Sins?
I did not do the Sins video.
I did the Sins.
I didn't
for
like this movie.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Yeah.
Christopher Robin.
Same. Just watch Paddington too.
Yeah, I don't see the point of these. Like, they grew up and now they have to learn how they've done this with Alice in Wonderland. They've done this with Peter Pan. I don't need to see this shit again. Like, they have to learn how to be a kid again.
Yeah.
Hotel Transylvania 3, never saw it.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
No need to see it.
Aaron talked about Blind Spotting.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody else see Welcome to Marwen?
I didn't see Welcome to Marwen.
Man, is it an interesting, awful movie?
That's what I heard.
It is just, it's fascinating. The story's fascinating. Steve Carell's performance is fascinating. It's just a bad movie.
Isn't there a documentary?
Yes.
I think I'll watch that first.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good choice.
Mowgli, which was the Andy Serkis version of the Jungle Book.
This came and went already?
It was on Netflix. Released on Netflix at the end of the year. Yeah.
The first trailer I saw for this, I kind of really dug.
It's great.
Yeah?
It's really good.
Really?
In my opinion. I think Andy Serkis is really talented as a director.
Interesting.
It's a
Maybe
good
check
watch.
that out now.
The Endless, which is a great movie.
Yeah,
Jonathan was raving about that.
Don't investigate this movie. I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about this movie. You don't
Just
need to
watch
know
it.
anything
Yeah.
before you go into this movie. It's very, very good.
That's right. The Tale. I don't know anything about that.
Oh, that's
the-
it's the HBO one with
Oh yeah, that's right.
Laura.
Laura Dern.
It's the most difficult movie to watch
It
from
is.
the year. It's a tough watch, but
That's
it
the
is
one that you were talking
fabulous.
about that you'd seen.
Yeah, and it's another one that made me reflect on my own life. I think this would be an excellent movie and a tough watch if it was straightforward. But I told you guys about the way that the director kind of does some tricks to tell the story, the way she'll interview actors playing the younger versions as though they're in a documentary being interviewed by the documentary director, but they're speaking in character. And then she does that flashback with the younger version of the girl. And then she finds a picture and realizes she was older at that summer than she remembered. Then she remembers it again, and it's a different actress playing a 2 years older version of her, and the same scene plays out. Super uncomfortable, but I can't applaud this woman more for both making a great film, but how she chose to sort of investigate, and it's very introspective, this movie. And Laura Dern's just killer.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which we've all raved about, I believe.
This would be in my top 5. This is another movie I've been thinking about a lot because
It's
this
pretty.
movie's all about death.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about death.
Mm-hmm.
Not in that way, but in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Bad Times at the El Royale. Really liked this movie. Recently saw this. It's really good.
That's at the top of my list.
highly recommend it. Yeah.
It's Drew Goddard.
Kind of a surprise. I was surprised at how good this was, even though Drew Goddard did it and everything. It just didn't. It felt like it was just going to be. I don't know. When I saw the trailer, I was thinking of a One Night at McCool's type of thing. It seemed like that for some reason.
It's phenomenal. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love it. Tully. Never saw this.
Did anybody else see Tully?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Did you like it?
Yeah, my thing was the trailer sort of taught me to look for something coming and kind of killed
That's
it for
right.
me.
Yeah, I remember that. Now.
But I did think the performances were really good, especially Mackenzie Davis. She's just she's having she's really good in everything, but she's taking consistently quirky side character roles.
Yeah, I like the cut of her jib.
She's a fine filly.
Yes. Beautiful Boy, which is on Amazon. I really liked this.
You did like it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
That's a snub for me, Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah,
I
he's
think
so
he
good.
was so good in this movie.
Yeah, so good in this movie. Great movie overall. Go see it. Yeah, it got pretty snubbed. Searching. I talked about this. I recommended this a couple weeks ago. I definitely go watch Searching. Searching is awesome. That came out of nowhere. Had like a brief theatrical release, I think, and then
It's the Screen Life movie where everything takes place on the screen.
Yeah, you liked it?
I did.
Yeah,
I very much like it. I'm excited to see how people can mess with that format, and use it as a tool, not a gimmick.
Surprisingly decent. A Simple Favor came out.
Yes.
I
love this movie.
Fun
Yes.
movie.
Yes.
Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively, as you've never seen her before.
Yeah, she's really cool.
Yeah, she's having fun with this.
Yeah, it's all about the ladies in this movie right here.
They're great together too. Their chemistry is great.
It's all about the ladies.
Boy Erased. I didn't see this.
This is the one about the Scared Straight type program.
Yeah, this is Nicole Kidman and Russell
It's
Crowe.
like a gay conversion thing.
Yeah,
right?
gay conversion therapy. I thought this was really good, and it's certainly a story worth telling and worth looking into. I think Russell Crowe is really interesting here because it's kind of different than it's obviously not Gladiator era Russell Crowe.
He's not phoning
anymore.
this one in?
I don't think so.
Okay. He's been phoning in some shit recently. Oh yeah, starting at Man with the Iron Fists and all the way through until maybe now.
He's not in it a ton.
Okay.
Nicole Kidman's in it more than he is. But I think everybody's good in it, and it's a good watch.
Bandersnatch, which is that it may be the future of movies. It might be we might see more of these anyway.
It is my hope that doesn't happen. It is my hope that it creates a new type of entertainment and forges its own path.
Oh, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's going to overtake anything.
Because there's something to be said about somebody telling me a story.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I don't need to be involved all the time. I like the idea of it, but just like Choose Your Own Adventure books when we were all kids, who are suing this movie, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't ever the dominant form of books. We all probably read a few, but I was also reading Star Trek novels and other bullshit.
Yeah.
I just outed myself as a kid who read Star Trek novels.
But
I had a fun time with it.
I thought Bandersnatch was a good start. I don't think it's like we're going to see better ones down the road, probably. But this was okay. This was good. I had fun. I spent an afternoon.
Yeah, there's one moment in here where you make a decision for the character, and he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
There's a few moments like that where what's the beauty of is that they allow it to be meta enough to play with that world in a way that not every movie can. So it'll be interesting.
Ocean's 8, we don't need to talk about that very much. Sorry to bother you. That's another one. Oh my God. This movie is weird. It's oddly fascinating to watch. I don't think it's a complete success. I think I am about like midway of liking it, really.
I'm exactly with you.
Yeah,
I'm in the same boat. I think it's a little too weird for its own good at times because it almost revels in the weirdness instead of the metaphor it's trying to tell.
It's got something to say, but it doesn't quite focus on it.
Agreed.
You Were Never Really Here. I can't remember what
Joaquin Phoenix.
Is that the Joaquin Phoenix in the wheelchair movie?
No, this is where he's like,
he won't get far on foot.
Don't worry, he won't get far on foot.
Yeah, he's got some confusing ass titles.
Yeah. You were never really here. Yeah, he's already. We've talked about this. He's done a bunch. He did that other one that we still can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not here or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not here. I'm still here. Whatever the fuck it is. Stop making movies with about this title in it. But do you remember anything about it?
I didn't like it as much as most people did, but it's definitely worth a watch. It's very dark and brooding and powerful. So
big movie you didn't see. Fantastic Beasts 2. Heard it was terrible.
It is. It's
I
terrible.
could care less about those movies. They can all bite it.
Which is unfortunate, right? I mean, the Harry Potter world has been such a big thing in pop culture. It's really unfortunate that they're kind of messing this up.
Well, it is and it isn't. Like, I don't have time for this. Another podcast. I'll give you my thoughts on this.
Leave No Trace. Don't know anything about
That's the Deborah Granick movie. Kind of deals with PTSD.
Yeah, Ben Foster, right?
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be really good in it, right?
He is really good, and as is the girl who's in it. She's great in it too. So this is worth a watch.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Creed 2, perfectly fine for what it is.
Yeah,
I think that's right.
The Old Man and the Gun.
Robert Redford, old guy robs banks.
So it's like Mule, and that would make a good double feature.
Exactly, very similar.
Yeah. Did you like the Mule?
That's a complicated answer. No, I'm going to go with no.
Yeah, I'm the same. I expected more. Surprise, $100 million hit though.
Yeah.
Then there's Wildlife.
Yeah, that's Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's basically about this community that lives near forest fires and how this family is trying to, work their way through some stuff. It is very interesting. Ed Oxenbould is the kid in this movie.
Oh, Eddie.
And he is
Eddie Ox.
He is great. So, yeah.
Destroyer.
That's the Nicole Kidman one.
Okay. That was on the Belcourt recently. I think.
Yeah. That's worth a watch. I didn't like it as much as a lot of people are enjoying it, but it's definitely a well-made film with some interesting things to do. So Nicole Kidman's great.
And A Private Life.
That's on Netflix, I think. That is Paul Giamatti, and Catherine O'Hara, maybe? Maybe I'm wrong on that. Anyways, it's just they're trying to conceive. It is the most authentic and intimate look at what it means to try to have a baby in the 21st century that I've ever seen.
Wow.
It is
check that out.
It is fascinating and gross and real.
All right.
So there's a lot of other movies on this list that I don't think we really need to talk about. I saw Unsane on there. That's a Steven Soderbergh. Worth talking about, but not in detail or whatever. There's a few others on here. I know we missed some. It's a long podcast, and we've got to go. So let's just go ahead and have these two pick Roma.
Yeah.
And then we'll go and do our other one. But anyway, let's do our best of
Do
2018.
we have like an order? We stopped doing that, didn't we?
Yeah, why don't you start? You're talking.
Well,
you're
I got to
talking
pick
right
Roma. I actually had a miniature existential crisis about this because I knew I was going to pick Roma. I'm pretty sure Dice was going to pick Roma, and I'm pretty sure everybody knew that. And I feel like I'm robbing you guys of a chance to take this like 6 rounds deep.
You are.
And end up with like something like Death of Stalin winning. So I got to go Roma because I've watched it 6 times now, and every single time it has moved me. And yeah, I just from that first shot on, I was in, and it breaks my heart that is not the experience everybody has.
Sure,
but I take comfort knowing I'm right and you're wrong.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Roma as well. I had the same kind of existential crisis. What's interesting is we did the SIFPOP movie of the year, and had 19 different, gurus that weighed in, and Mission Impossible Fallout won movie of the year. And that's what I love about a year like this is I'm great with that. You know what I mean? Like there's so many movies that we could come to, even though, Jeremy and I have had this experience that you guys haven't necessarily had, that I'd be like, yeah, let's call that the movie of the year. But I think just, from an integrity level, if nothing else, Roma's that movie for me. It's my favorite of the year. I
have about 5 swirling in my head.
Right?
I've had A Quiet Place there for a really long time. I've had 8th Grade. I've had The Favorite. I've had all the one that's freshest in my mind and means the most to me right now is If Beale Street Could Talk. And I'm gonna call that my movie of the year.
That is surprising, and now I definitely have to see this movie. If you it connected to you that much,
really all those ones that I just named, Mission Impossible, Fallout, you can throw in there. I mean, seriously, I wouldn't be upset at myself for picking any of those. Ultimately, though, there's more profound sort of impact that movie had on me than anything this year. Quiet Place is a close second, I think, just because of the way it was done. But I'm going to say If Beale Street, and maybe I'll change my mind if I see it again, and I'll be like, oh, this is bullshit. But, but
well, the only way we tie at this point is if Barrett votes for a movie he hasn't seen. If you want to talk about integrity, I think might be called into question.
Probably so. I actually wanted to, the entire time since I've seen it, I was going to go with The Favorite. Because The Favorite has every single thing that I want in a movie. Salaciousness, comedy, drama, backstabbing, all that stuff. beautiful people to look at. Tongues inside people. But,
Right.
But the movie that sticks with me, similar to what you're saying, is Black Klansman.
Yeah.
Black Klansman, I think, is my most slap you in the face and wake the fuck up type of movies that I've seen.
No shit.
And it's so well done. The performances are outstanding. I didn't even think that would be my pick, but it is definitely my pick.
All right, so Roma overall, but you have a ton of recommends
Yes,
today,
you do.
guys. 2018 was a great year.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it looking at the major releases before the year started, but fantastic year. So that's going to do it for this episode.
Yeah.
Keep on going to SinCast presented by CinemaSins on Facebook. Keep going to SoundCloud, our CinemaSins Twitter. We have a Patreon. We have Discord, which is kind of a sort of a married type of thing where Patreon can get on there on more channels than most, but the general public can get on there with a bunch of stuff as well. And Aaron, pimp some more Sift Pop if you want.
Yeah, come listen to the podcast. Sift Pop, just search for it. You'll find it at any podcast player. We'd love to have you along. SiftPop.com. If you want to go check out the other
Come
stuff
and play
that we do
with us.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
But that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkinson, Jeremy Scott, Barrett Shearer, and Aaron Dicer. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit CinemaSins.com.
Grab your movies.
Those aren't movies.
I actually didn't say anything because I thought you might have been doing that on purpose.
What's that?
Saying movie instead of movie.
Oh.
Yeah, you said it a couple times.
Did John Lark end up being Solomon Lane?
No, John Lark ended up being Henry Cavill.
Yeah, but mostly a fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they say it, but they don't really end up. It doesn't seem like they end up falling on that. Like that was him all along. Because Solomon Lane is the one who ends up spouting out the manifesto.
Yeah, and he's the one orchestrating everything.
Yeah. Everybody's doing this manifesto, and I believe it's who is it? Do they credit it to Lark who's written the manifesto?
Yes.
I think in the beginning,
Yeah,
yes.
they credit Lark as the manifesto guy, and then that Niels de Broek guy is all excited when the manifesto's read, and it's not his manifesto, but I guess he believes.
Well, yeah,
in it.
because when August, that's Henry Cavill, right?
Yeah.
When he's talking to Lane, who he thinks is Lane, he says, "When I wrote those words, that this is what was going on."
Okay.
So he's essentially Lark, but there's a lot of shit in there that is weird to me. Like Ilsa just pops in and out whenever the fuck she wants.
Oh,
to.
she's omniscient as fuck in that movie.
Yeah, she knows everything.
She ends up at Max Jr. at White Widow at her party, like her house.
Yeah.
And then even though the rest of them, including August, are involved in the heist, she just fucking pieces out and like does her own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get Ilsa.
Yeah.
I love her.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I hate Frozen.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
she and Michelle Monaghan are pretty. And Vanessa Kirby, very pretty.
They're all beautiful.
I love that character, that White Widow character.
Yeah.
What is she probably best known for besides, but with us, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
I mean, the biggest movie she's been in is like Eagle Eye.
Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah, Heartbreak
She's
Kid.
she's
in
the
that
love
movie.
interest,
Yeah,
right? Not the, because it's Malin Ackerman who's the.
Can you
Pile
pile drive
drive
me from the? I just watched that part of that movie the other day.
I love that movie.
I don't love it, but I can watch it.
I think it's hilarious.
I like how she sings to every song on the radio. I love that whole progression of scenes where he slowly realizes she's not going to stop. It's never going to stop. She knows all the words to every song.
That's happened with me, by the way.
And your wife?
Yes, on the way back from Florida, like I didn't even realize it, but I was singing along to every song.
Oh, it was you doing the singing.
It was me doing it, and then like as we're pulling on to our neighborhood, it was that BB Rex Florida Georgia line. The if it's meant to be, it'll be. And I just, because it's so repetitive, and I was probably singing at the top of my lungs, not even realizing. And she was like, "God damn it!" I miss Ben Stiller movies like that. He's like the perfect comedic foil for stuff like that.
I met Ben Stiller this year at the awards.
Yeah, you
How was he?
You tweeted a picture.
What was it
He
for?
was cool. He was there for Escape from Dannemora. Or Escape,
Right, yeah.
Escape to Dannemora? Escape, that title always messes me up, but the Prison Escape movie. Or TV show.
It's a series movie, right?
Yeah.
Series
It's a show, yeah.
Yeah. On Hulu or Amazon or something?
Showtime, I think.
Or Showtime?
I don't know. No, I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong.
Nothing. Just somebody who taking us seriously. The
Oh, yeah.
Which one?
screen grabbed and said, "Hey, everybody! CinemaSins thinks that if you wear glasses, you're a big moron."
When did that happen?
How is that? From the Hitch video?
Yeah, because I said, "How do you know he's a nerd? Because he's wearing glasses and he drops books. You know, the shit only total morons do, and they're just taking me at face value."
Wow.
I think you're safe on that one. I don't think...
I'm safe on almost all of it, baby. I'm just saying.
If you can't read the sarcasm...
Somebody tweeted earlier about the X chromosomes joke.
Yeah.
Trying to bait me by saying, "So you're saying only people with 2 X chromosomes can be women? Because if so, look out." And
I actually thought of that when I wrote that joke.
I read that to my wife, and she said, "Fuck that. Sex and gender are completely different things." And I was like, "Oh, that's the exact response of this."
Yeah. I doubt we'll go that far.
Ba, 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 ba.
6:15. Oh, we went that far.
We did Texas
You guys
again.
have tackled me and put duct tape on my mouth. Dice are enough movies.